Have you ever stood in the eye of a storm, not in the chaos of the wind and the rain, but in that strange, almost sacred stillness at its very center, where the world outside is tearing itself apart, but within that small circle of calm, there is only a profound silence, a quiet hum of immense power held in perfect balance. Most of us live our lives in the storm, not in its eye. We are endlessly pushing, pulling, striving, fighting the winds we believe are set against us. We grip the oars of our small boat until our knuckles are white, rowing against a relentless tide of expectations, responsibilities, deadlines, and the ceaseless noise of a world that tells us we must always be doing more, becoming more, achieving more. We are told that this is strength, this is progress, this is the only way to move forward. But what if it isn't? What if the exhaustion you feel, that deep, soul-level weariness that has nothing to do with a lack of sleep, is your spirit telling you that you are fighting the wrong battle? You are running a marathon with no finish line, and the only prize is more running. What if the greatest strength is not found in rowing harder against the storm, but in the courage to put down the oars? To stop, to breathe, to simply be. What if true power is not in navigating the chaos, but in becoming the calm sea itself, allowing the currents of life to align with you, rather than you fighting against them? This is an invitation to do just that, to step out of the wind, to enter the quiet sanctuary of your own center. We are not going to learn a new way to strive. We are going to unlearn the frantic need to do so. We are going to explore the immense magnetic power of doing nothing at all, not as an act of surrender or laziness, but as the highest form of discipline, as the most potent action one can take. This is a journey into the eye of your own storm, to discover the silent, unshakable force that has been waiting there for you all along. It begins in the hands. Feel it now. The subtle tension in the muscles of your fingers, your palm, your wrist, a low-grade, constant readiness, a clenching. It is the posture of the modern soul, the physical manifestation of a mind that believes it must hold the world together by sheer force of will. We are all masters of this tension. We carry it in our jaws, our shoulders, our breath held tight in our chests. It is the hum of effort beneath the surface of everything we do. We call it responsibility. We call it diligence. We call it being in control, but it is a lie. It is the great illusion of control, the most exhausting and pervasive myth of our time. Imagine you are standing on a shore and you scoop up a handful of fine, dry sand. This sand is your life. It is your project, your relationship, your future, your happiness. Instinctively, born from a deep and ancient fear of loss, you clench your fist to keep it safe. You squeeze with all your might, believing that the pressure of your grip is the only thing preventing it from slipping away. But look closer. The tighter you squeeze, the more desperately you try to secure it, the faster the sand escapes through the gaps between your fingers. It pours out in tiny, unstoppable streams, a cascade of moments and opportunities lost not to the world, but to the very fear that sought to possess them. This is the paradox of our struggle. The act of control is the very act of loss. This compulsion to manage everything, to foresee every possibility, to mitigate every risk, does not come from a place of malice or ego in its basest form. It comes from a place of profound fear. It is the mind's desperate attempt to build a fortress of certainty in a universe that is fundamentally, beautifully, and terrifyingly uncertain. We draw up blueprints for our lives, for our careers, for our next 5 years, believing that if the plan is detailed enough, reality will have no choice but to comply. We create intricate if-then contracts with existence. If I work 18 hours a day, then my business will not fail. If I can just say the right thing, fix their mood, manage their perception of me, then they will love me and never leave. If I can control my diet, my schedule, and my environment with perfect discipline, then I will find peace. We become the frantic architects of a future that never arrives, because we are too busy managing its imaginary construction to live in the only room that is ever real. the present moment. This is a war fought entirely within ourselves, a silent, draining conflict. On one side is the quiet, intuitive whisper of your own being. It speaks of trust, of flow, of a natural unfolding. It is the voice that feels a sense of rightness when things happen with ease, that finds joy in serendipity. It is the part of you that knows how to float. On the other side is a much louder voice, the voice of the anxious controller. It is a general screaming orders from a bunker. It warns of catastrophe. It points out every potential flaw, every possible betrayal, every chance of failure. It tells you that vigilance is your only shield, that to relax is to invite disaster, and so you obey. You stay vigilant. You scan the horizon for threats. You micromanage conversations. You rehearse difficult encounters in your mind. You troubleshoot problems that have not yet occurred. The cost of this internal war is immense. It is paid for with the currency of your presence. You cannot taste your food because you are planning the afternoon's meeting. You cannot truly hear what your child is saying because you are calculating the month's expenses. You cannot feel the warmth of the sun on your skin because you are worrying about tomorrow's rain. You are a ghost in your own life, haunting a future that does not exist, forever absent from the gift of the now. But what if there is another way? What if true power, true control, is the very opposite of this desperate clenching? What if it is found in the courage to do the one thing your fear screams against? To open your hand, to unfurl your fingers one by one, to release the tension in your palm, and simply let the sand rest there. Look, when your hand is open, the sand does not blow away. It settles. It rests in the cradle of your palm, held not by force, but by acceptance. This is the great secret. Control is not dominance. It is alignment. It is surrendering the frantic need to impose your will upon the world, and instead, aligning your own energy with the greater flow of life itself. An open hand cannot just hold. An open hand can also receive. A clenched fist can do neither. It can only slowly and painfully lose what it thinks it possesses. This is not a call to apathy or inaction. It is a call to a different quality of action. Action that arises from a place of stillness, not from a place of fear. How do we begin this practice, this radical act of unclenching? We do not start by trying to let go of the biggest, most important things. The fortress of fear is too well defended for a frontal assault. We begin with the small things. We begin with the breath. For a single minute, do not try to control your breathing. Do not make it deeper or slower or more meditative. Simply allow it to be as it is. Observe its natural rhythm, the gentle rise and fall of your own chest, managed by an intelligence far older and wiser than your conscious mind. In this simple observation, you are practicing the art of letting go. You are yielding control to a natural process and realizing that you are perfectly safe in doing so. Then, take this practice into your day. Choose to accept one imperfection. Perhaps your desk is not perfectly organized. Perhaps there is a small typo in an internal email. Perhaps you are 5 minutes late to something that is not life or death. Notice the urge to fix it, to apologize profusely, to mentally berate yourself, and then, gently, choose not to. Let the imperfection exist. Watch as the world continues to turn. The sky does not fall. No disaster ensues. In that small space of acceptance, you are building a new muscle. You are teaching your nervous system, cell by cell, that trust is a viable strategy for living. Go outside and observe nature, the ultimate master of effortless action. A tree does not strain to grow. It does not worry about whether it will have enough sunlight. It simply sinks its roots into the earth and reaches for the sky, accepting what comes. A river does not fret about the rocks in its path. It does not try to smash through them with brute force. It finds the path of least resistance. It flows around them, with them, over them, its power found in its persistent, yielding momentum. This is the model for a new kind of control, a control based not on resistance but on responsiveness. a power that is fluid, adaptable, and profoundly effective. As you practice this, the central metaphor shifts. You begin to understand that you are not the hand, and life is not the sand. You are the open space in which both the hand and the sand appear. You are the awareness that can see the clenched fist of fear and not be defined by it. You are the consciousness that can choose to open the hand and experience the peace that follows. By releasing the illusion of control, you are not giving up your power, you are reclaiming it. You are taking it back from the frantic, fearful mind and restoring it to the quiet, centered wisdom of your being. You stop trying to manipulate the world into the shape you desire, and instead, you become a resonant field. A clenched fist is a wall, an open hand is an invitation. By unclenching your soul, you create the very space required for the things you truly desire to arrive, not as conquests you have captured, but as gifts you are finally ready and able to receive. The control we seek to exert is not born in a vacuum. It is nurtured and amplified in the unrelenting environment we inhabit, the echo chamber of noise. This noise is more than the sound of traffic or the chatter in a crowded room. It is a constant, invisible torrent of information, opinion, and stimulation that flows through the screens in our hands and the expectations in our minds. It is the perpetual ping of a new message, the endless scroll of a social feed, the 24-hour news cycle screaming of crisis, the curated perfection of other people's lives, and the relentless inner critic that provides a running commentary on our own failures. We have become so accustomed to this cacophony that silence itself has become uncomfortable, even threatening. The moment the external noise subsides, an even louder internal noise erupts. The anxieties, the to-do lists, the regrets, the insecurities we have successfully kept at bay with distraction, all rush into the vacuum. And so we reach for our phones, turn on the television, fill the space with a podcast, anything to avoid the deafening sound of our own unaccompanied thoughts. We have been conditioned to believe a dangerous lie, that busyness is a synonym for worth, that being connected is the same as being alive. The person whose calendar is full, whose inbox is overflowing, who is always rushing from one thing to the next, is seen as important, valuable, essential. The person who is still, who is quiet, who is unreachable for an afternoon, is perceived as unproductive, disengaged, or irrelevant. This false equation has become the foundation of our modern identity. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor because it proves we are participating, we are striving, we matter. The noise becomes our alibi, our proof of life. This creates a profound internal schism. There is a part of you, a deep and ancient part, that is desperately thirsty for quiet. It is the part of your soul that yearns to hear its own voice, to feel its own rhythm, to simply be. It craves the clarity and peace that only stillness can provide, like a desert traveler dreams of water. Yet, there is another part, a more modern and anxious part, that is terrified of being left behind. It is gripped by the fear of missing out. What if I miss that crucial email? What if an opportunity passes me by while I'm disconnected? What if everyone else moves forward while I am standing still? This is not just a practical fear, it is an existential one. It is the fear that if we are not actively participating in the noise, we will cease to exist in the eyes of the world. We will become invisible. So we remain tethered, constantly checking, responding, and reacting, sacrificing the deep peace we crave for the shallow validation of being in the loop. The conflict between these two forces the soul's need for silence and the ego's fear of irrelevances, what creates so much of our ambient anxiety. It is the feeling of being pulled in two directions at once, a quiet desperation to escape the very machine we feel compelled to help operate. Imagine you are in a vast hall filled with people, all shouting at the top of their lungs. You have something important to say, something true. Your first instinct is to shout louder than everyone else, but all you do is add to the deafening roar, straining your own voice and depleting your own energy. until you are just one more screaming mouth in a sea of noise. You are participating in the chaos, not rising above it. Now, imagine a different strategy. Instead of trying to compete with the noise, you quietly walk to a corner of the room. You sit down, you close your eyes. You focus on the feeling of your own breath moving in and out of your body. At first, the shouting seems to get louder, more intrusive, but you persist. You stay with the breath. Slowly, something miraculous begins to happen. The noise doesn't go away, but it changes its relationship to you. It recedes, becoming a background hum rather than an overwhelming assault. From your quiet corner, you are no longer a part of the chaos. You are an observer of it. Your inner silence becomes a sanctuary, a field of force that the noise cannot penetrate. This is the path forward. You do not need to shout. You just need to find your corner. This is not a call to abandon the world and retreat to a mountaintop. It is an invitation to build a sanctuary inside yourself, a portable monastery that you can access anytime, anywhere, even in the middle of the shouting room. The practice begins with creating deliberate small islands of silence in the ocean of your day. Start with 5 minutes, set a timer, and for those 5 minutes, do nothing. Do not read a book. Do not make a list. Do not scroll through your phone. Simply sit or stand and be. Your mind will race. That is its nature. It will present you with urgent tasks and forgotten worries. Do not fight it. Simply notice it, as you would notice clouds passing in the sky, and gently return your attention to the sensation of being in your body. This practice will feel unproductive. It will feel strange. That is how you know it is working. You are detoxing from the addiction to doing. Next, become a conscious curator of the noise you allow into your life. Your attention is your most sacred resource. Stop giving it away to things that drain and diminish you. Go into your phone's settings and turn off all non-essential notifications. The world can wait. Unfollow the accounts that leave you feeling anxious, envious, or inadequate. You are the gatekeeper of your own mind. Choose to feed it with intention. Replace 10 minutes of mindless scrolling with 10 minutes of staring out a window. Replace a news podcast on your commute with silence. Listen to the sound of your own footsteps on the pavement. These small acts are not insignificant. They are declarations of sovereignty. They are you reclaiming your own inner space. The power of this cultivated silence is that it creates a gap, a pause between the external stimulus and your internal response. In a world of instant reaction, this pause is a superpower. Someone sends you a provocative email. The old pattern is to react instantly, with anger or defense. The new practice is to pause, to breathe, to access your inner quiet. From that place of stillness, your response will be wiser, calmer, and infinitely more powerful. You move from a state of frantic reaction to one of considered, intentional action. The echo chamber of noise works by convincing you that your value is determined from the outside in. Your inner silence teaches you the opposite. It reveals that your value is inherent, a quiet, unshakable truth that exists independently of any external validation. When you are rooted in this inner silence, you begin to operate on a different frequency. You no longer need the noise to feel real. You become a source of your own quiet power. This is profoundly attractive. A chaotic, noisy mind is like a turbulent body of water. It reflects nothing with clarity. A still mind is like a deep, clear lake. It can reflect the sky. It can reveal what lies in its depths. The universe whispers its greatest secrets, but it will not compete with the shouting. To hear the whispers of intuition, to receive the insights that will guide you, to attract the peace and clarity you so deeply crave, you must first be willing to become quiet enough to listen. Your task today is not to solve every problem or answer every message. Your task is to find one small corner for one brief moment and listen to nothing at all. That is where you will begin to hear everything that matters. Beneath the obsession with control, and beneath the frantic distraction of noise lies the source of the river. It is a quiet ache, a fundamental sensation that propels so much of human striving. It is the feeling of a subtle, pervasive emptiness, a void. It is the unspoken suspicion that you are somehow incomplete, that a crucial piece of you is missing, and that your life's work is to find that piece and finally make yourself whole. We rarely name this feeling. We rarely even acknowledge it consciously. Instead, we experience it as a kind of hunger, a relentless, soul-level hunger that no meal can satisfy. This hunger is the engine of our doing. It is the voice that whispers, if only I had that job, that promotion, that title, I would be worthy. If only I had that partner, that perfect love, I would be complete. If only I had that home, that car, that experience, that recognition, I would be content. Our entire society is constructed as a grand buffet designed to cater to this specific hunger. It promises that the void can be filled. It markets achievements, possessions, and relationships as the cure for our fundamental sense of lack. And we believe it because we are desperate for relief. So begins the great, exhausting chase. We fix our gaze on a goal, believing it holds the key. We pour our life force into its pursuit. We work, we strive, we sacrifice, and perhaps we achieve it. For a moment, a day, a week, there is a flood of relief. The hunger subsides. The void seems to have been filled. The temporary high of accomplishment or acquisition creates a blissful illusion of wholeness, but it never lasts. In the quiet moments, after the applause has faded and the novelty has worn off, the old feeling returns. The low-grade ache, the familiar emptiness, and the mind, addicted to the chase, draws a simple and devastating conclusion. It was not enough. I chose the wrong goal. I must find a bigger one, a better one, a more permanent solution. And so the cycle begins anew, only this time with more desperation, more urgency. This is the hamster wheel of the hungry ghost, forever consuming, yet never nourished. The internal conflict born from this chase is one of the most painful aspects of the human condition. It is the war between the part of us that intuitively knows this pursuit is futile, and the part of us that is addicted to the hope that the next fix will be the one that works. It is the feeling of being a stranger in your own life, surrounded by the trophies of your past pursuits, yet feeling an inner poverty that none of them can touch. You stand in the beautiful house you worked so hard for, but you feel homeless in your own skin. You are in a relationship you longed for, yet you feel profoundly alone. You receive the praise and recognition you craved, but you feel like an imposter because you know the inner landscape has not changed. This is the supreme loneliness of the void. It is the secret that we carry, the fear that we are uniquely and irreparably broken. We look at others who seem so content, so solid, and we assume they have found the secret. We assume they have managed to fill their cup, while ours seems to be riddled with holes. And so we double down on the external chase, hiding our inner emptiness behind a carefully constructed facade of success and busyness, all the while growing more and more exhausted by the effort. Now, consider the central metaphor for this condition, a beautiful, intricately carved vessel, your soul. But this vessel has no bottom. It is open at both ends. From the moment you become aware of it, you feel a deep anxiety about its emptiness. So you spend your life trying to fill it. You pour in the water of achievement, of praise, of material wealth, of love from others. For a moment, the water is there. It is rushing through, but the vessel never becomes full. It cannot. Its very nature is to be a conduit, not a container. The project of trying to fill a bottomless vessel is the definition of insanity. It is a task that can never be completed, a thirst that can never be quenched. The agony is not in the emptiness of the vessel. The agony is in the futile and relentless effort of trying to fill it. The moment of liberation, the ray of light that cuts through this darkness, comes when you entertain a radical, terrifying new idea. What if the point is not to fill the void? What if the void is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be embraced? What if you were to stop pouring, stop striving, stop chasing, and instead simply turn your attention to the vessel itself? What if you were to accept its nature, its bottomless design, not as a flaw, but as its essential truth? This is the turning point. This is the beginning of true inner work. You stop running from the emptiness, and you turn to face it. You allow yourself to feel the hunger without immediately acting to satisfy it. You sit in the presence of your own inner space, and in doing so, you make a profound discovery. The void is not a terrifying black hole of nothingness. It is not a sign of your brokenness. It is the fertile silence from which all creativity is born. It is the vast, open sky of awareness in which the clouds of thought and feeling can drift by. It is the space of pure potential. It is the canvas. A canvas is not flawed because it is empty. Its emptiness is its very purpose, the precondition for any masterpiece to be painted upon it. By making peace with your own inner emptiness, you stop being a frantic consumer of experiences and you become a conscious creator. Your life ceases to be a desperate search for filler, and it becomes an intentional act of painting on your own canvas. How do we practice this radical acceptance? We begin by gently shifting our core question. For years, the question has been, what do I need to get? It is a question that perpetually looks to the future, reinforcing the belief that happiness is always one acquisition away. The new question is, what is already here? It is a question that pulls your awareness back into the present moment, into the body, into the now. As you sit here, ask it of yourself. What is already here? The feeling of the breath entering and leaving your lungs, the sensation of the chair supporting your weight, the quiet hum in the room, the simple, miraculous fact of your own consciousness. These things are not filler for the void. They are expressions of a fullness that coexists with the void. This leads to the practice of deep gratitude, not a superficial list of things you own, but a somatic feeling of thanks for the gifts that cannot be earned or bought. Gratitude for the air you breathe, a substance so vital yet so freely given. Gratitude for your senses, the ability to see color, to hear sound, to feel touch. This practice does not eliminate the void. It places it in its proper perspective. It shows you that you can be simultaneously empty and full. And finally, the most direct practice, sit with the hunger itself. The next time you feel that familiar restlessness, that urge to buy, to eat, to scroll, to distract, pause. For just 2 minutes, do not act. Close your eyes and locate the feeling in your body. Is it a hollowness in your chest, a tightness in your stomach? Just observe it, without judgment. Breathe into it. Be with it, as you would be with a crying child. In these 2 minutes, you are teaching yourself a profound lesson. You are larger than your hunger. You can contain it. It does not have to rule you. When you cease the frantic project of filling yourself, you begin to radiate a new kind of energy. You are no longer a vacuum of need pulling at the world for sustenance. You become a presence, a quiet, self-contained wholeness that is at peace with its own infinite depth. This wholeness is magnetic. It attracts not what you think you need, but what is in true resonance with what you are. You begin to attract people and circumstances that are not meant to complete you, but to harmonize with your already existing, beautiful, and bottomless nature. Your inner space is not a flaw to be fixed. It is your greatest asset. It is the source of your compassion, your creativity, and your connection to all that is. Stop trying to fill it. Simply learn to inhabit it. That is where you will find you are already home. If the hunger of the void is the engine, then the shadow of scarcity is the fuel it burns. It is a pervasive, ghost-like belief that whispers a single paralyzing mantra into the heart of humanity. There is not enough time, not enough money, not enough love, not enough opportunity, talent, or recognition to go around. This belief is the invisible architect of so much of our anxiety. It casts a long shadow over our joys, making them feel fragile and temporary. It transforms life from a creative dance into a desperate competitive race. We see a colleague's success not as an inspiration, but as a threat, a sign that the limited supply of success has been further depleted, leaving less for us. We hoard our time, our knowledge, and our resources, fearing that to give anything away is to diminish our own chances of survival. We operate from a state of perpetual deficit, constantly measuring what we have against what we lack, and the ledger always seems to fall short. This scarcity mindset is the worldview born from the inner void. The emptiness inside feels so real that we project it onto the world, and the world in turn seems to confirm our deepest fears. We become trapped in a feedback loop of lack, where the inner feeling and the outer perception endlessly validate one another, creating a prison of our own making. This operating system of scarcity is not a personal failing. It is a piece of ancient, evolutionary software that once served us well. For our ancestors, living in a world of genuine resource limitation, the belief that there was not enough was a crucial survival mechanism. It prompted them to store food, to be wary of strangers, and to fight for their territory. It kept them alive. But we are now running this ancient, fear-based software on the advanced hardware of the modern world, and it is causing a system-wide crash. The software that was designed to protect us from starvation is now manufacturing chronic stress in an age of relative plenty. The instinct that made us wary of rival tribes now creates division, jealousy, and a crippling inability to feel genuine joy for the good fortune of others. We have mistaken a survival strategy for a fundamental truth about the universe. We live as though life is a zero-sum game, a finite pie where every slice taken by another is a slice lost to us forever. This belief system keeps us small, suspicious, and perpetually on the defensive. It is utterly exhausting. The internal conflict this creates is immense. There is a higher part of you, a wiser self, that intuits the possibility of a different reality. It is the part of you that feels a swell of generosity, that wants to give freely, that believes in collaboration and mutual support. It is the part of you that can imagine a world of infinite possibility, an endless ocean of abundance. But every time this expansive self tries to emerge, the old scarcity software kicks in. The voice of fear begins its litany of warnings. Be careful. Don't give too much. You won't have enough left for yourself. Don't trust them. They'll take advantage of you. Don't celebrate too loudly. You'll tempt fate and it will all be taken away. And so we live in a state of internal contradiction, wanting to be open but acting as though we are under siege, longing for trust but defaulting to suspicion. We want to swim in the ocean of abundance, but we are terrified to let go of the small, leaky raft of our perceived security. The Great Awakening, the moment the prison door swings open, is the realization of a profound truth. Abundance is not an amount. It is not a number in a bank account or a collection of possessions. Abundance is an inner state. It is a mindset. It is a conscious choice to see the world through a different lens. Scarcity focuses on what is missing. Abundance focuses on what is present. Scarcity sees limits. Abundance sees possibilities. You do not go out and find abundance. You do not earn it or achieve it. You become it. You decide to tune your own consciousness to its frequency. Imagine your mind is a barren desert landscape. The sun is harsh, the ground is cracked, and there is no water in sight. This is the world viewed through the lens of scarcity. The more you fixate on the lack of water, the more desperate and thirsty you become. You see mirages everywhere and are paralyzed by the fear of wasting your energy on a false hope. Now, imagine someone tells you that deep beneath the sand, there is a vast, underground spring. You cannot see it. You have no proof. You only have a choice: to believe in the surface-level desert or to trust in the unseen spring. The belief in the spring is the abundance mindset. It does not magically change the surface of the desert, but it changes everything about your experience of it. It gives you the strength, the hope, and the clarity to begin digging. The act of digging is the practice of abundance, and eventually, your belief is validated. You strike water. The desert was never truly barren. It was simply waiting for you to shift your perception from the visible lack to the invisible potential. How then do we begin to dig? How do we practice abundance in a world that screams of lack? We start with the most counterintuitive action. We practice giving. The scarcity mindset is a logic of hoarding. Giving is its direct antidote. Every act of generosity, no matter how small, is a powerful declaration to your own subconscious mind. It is a statement that says, I have enough. I have more than enough. I have enough to share. This does not mean giving away what you cannot afford. It means starting with what is infinite. Give a genuine compliment. Give your undivided, focused attention to another person for 5 minutes. Give a smile to a stranger. Share a piece of knowledge or a skill without expecting anything in return. These acts cost you nothing, yet they begin to rewire your brain. They break the contractive pattern of fear and initiate an expansive pattern of trust. Then, you must conduct a new kind of inventory. Not an inventory of what you lack, but an inventory of the abundance you already possess. Take a moment to acknowledge the riches you swim in every day. The air that fills your lungs is a form of wealth, offered freely and constantly. The sunlight that warms your skin is a form of wealth. The body that carries you through the world, with all its incredible self-regulating systems, is a form of wealth. The ideas in your mind, the capacity for love in your heart, the resilience that has gotten you this far, all of it is wealth. By consciously recognizing these non-material riches, you train your mind to see abundance everywhere. You shift its focus from the single dry spot in the landscape to the vast, fertile fields that surround it. Finally, when the old voice of scarcity begins its fearful chatter, there isn't enough time. I can't afford to take that risk. You must learn to gently challenge it. Ask it, is that absolutely 100% true? Or is it a story I am telling myself based on fear? Is it true that there is no time, or is it that you are not prioritizing it? Is it true that you cannot afford the risk, or are you unwilling to trust in an unknown outcome? This questioning loosens the grip of the old software. It creates a space for a new, more expansive story to be written. When you begin to live from this place, your entire energetic signature changes. The scarcity mindset radiates a frequency of neediness, fear, and contraction. It repels what it seeks because it is fundamentally a state of pushing away, of guarding, of closing off. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of lack. The abundance mindset, on the other hand, radiates a frequency of trust, generosity, and openness. It is a state of allowing, of receiving, of flow. This energy is magnetic. It does not chase. It attracts. By embodying the feeling of having enough, you become a match for circumstances, people, and resources that resonate with that feeling of sufficiency. Opportunities appear from unexpected places. People are more willing to help. You find creative solutions that were invisible to you before. This is not magic. It is resonance. You are simply receiving the reflection of your own inner state. You are drinking from the well you chose to believe in. So the invitation today is to make a conscious choice. You can continue to see the world as a barren desert, a place of grim competition and limited resources. Or you can choose to believe in the unseen spring. You can choose to live in the light of your own inherent abundance, an abundance that has nothing to do with what you have and everything to do with what you are. Perform one small, unconditional act of giving today. Let that be your first shovel strike into the dry ground. Let that be your vote for a new world. Let that be the proof that you are ready to drink from your own well. We have explored the illusion of control, the cacophony of noise, the hunger of the inner void, and the shadow of scarcity. These are the powerful currents that pull us into a state of frantic, endless doing. But holding this entire structure together, giving it its shape and its terrible weight, is the foundation upon which it is all built, the mask of identity. From a very young age, we are taught to answer the most fundamental question of our social existence. What do you do? This question, posed by strangers and loved ones alike, is far more than a simple inquiry. It is a request for your label. It is a demand for you to declare which mask you are wearing, so that you may be properly categorized, understood, and judged. And we learn quickly that some answers are better than others. To say, I am a doctor, I am an engineer, or I am a successful entrepreneur, is to offer a mask that gleams with societal approval. It grants you immediate status. But to offer a less prestigious mask, or worse, to admit you are in between masks, is to risk being met with a subtle look of pity or confusion. And so, we learn to equate our worth with the quality of our mask. Our identity becomes inextricably fused with our function. I am a teacher. I am a parent. I am an artist. I am a leader. I am a provider. These roles become our names, our very sense of self. We mistake the costume for the actor, the activity for the essence. This process of fusion is not a conscious choice. It is a slow, subtle, and seductive drift. We don a mask because it is useful. It gives us a script to follow, a sense of purpose, a way to navigate the complexities of the world. The mask of the good student tells us how to behave in school. The mask of the dedicated employee tells us how to act at work. The mask of the strong one tells us how to carry ourselves in a crisis. These masks provide a sense of safety and belonging. They are predictable, reliable, and they earn us a measure of recognition from the tribe. The problem is that we wear them for so long, we forget we are wearing them at all. The mask that was once a tool becomes a habit, and the habit eventually feels like our own skin. We look in the mirror, and we no longer see a person wearing a mask. We see only the mask itself. And the deepest, most terrifying fear we hold is the fear of what would happen if that mask were to be taken away. If you were to lose your job, would you cease to be the provider? If your children grow up and leave home, would you cease to be the parent? If you fail at a creative project, would you cease to be the artist? The underlying fear is not just about a change in circumstance. It is an existential terror. If I am not what I do, then who am I? What if the answer is nothing? What if beneath the mask, there is only a void? This fear keeps us clinging to our roles with a desperate grip, polishing our masks, defending them, and continually performing the part long after the passion has faded, because the performance feels safer than the terrifying emptiness of the unknown. This creates an agonizing internal conflict. There is a part of you, your authentic self, that feels the weight of this performance. It longs to put the mask down, to breathe, to be seen and loved for what it is, not for what it does. It is the part of you that feels a flash of rebellion when you are introduced by your job title, a quiet sadness when you realize your entire conversation with someone has been a performance of your prescribed role. This authentic self craves genuine connection, which is only possible when two true faces meet. But this longing is constantly suppressed by the fear of annihilation. The ego, the keeper of the mask, argues convincingly that to be without a role is to be without a self. It is to be a nobody, to be invisible, to be worthless. And so you are torn between the exhausting performance of being someone and the terrifying prospect of being no one. This is the struggle between your being and your doing. But here lies the most profound secret, the most liberating truth you will ever encounter. You are not the mask. You were never the mask. And beneath the mask, there is not a void. There is a face, your face. You are not what you do. You are the silent, conscious space in which all the doing happens. You are the awareness that witnesses the role being played. You are the unchanging presence that was there before you got the job, that remains while you have it, and that will be there long after it is gone. Discovering this is not an act of destruction. It is an act of reclamation. It is the ultimate non-doing. to stop the exhausting, lifelong effort of constructing and maintaining a false identity. How do we begin the delicate, courageous process of unfusing the mask from the skin? We begin with inquiry. Find a quiet moment and sit with a simple, powerful question: who am I? The mind will immediately offer its usual labels. I am a manager. Acknowledge this thought and then gently ask, but who am I beyond being a manager? The mind might then offer, I am a father. Acknowledge this. Who am I beyond being a father? Continue this process. You are not looking for a new, better verbal answer. You are using the question as a tool to peel away the layers of identification. As each label is seen and set aside, you may begin to feel a sense of space, a quiet presence. That presence, that silent, aware space that is left when all the labels are gone, that is closer to your true nature. Next, create an inventory of your qualities, not your roles. Are you compassionate? Are you resilient? Are you curious? Are you patient? Are you brave? These are qualities of your being. They are not dependent on a job title or a social function. Your resilience was there when you were a child falling off a bicycle, and it is there now when you face a professional setback. Your curiosity is present, whether you are learning a new software or watching an ant cross the pavement. By identifying with these timeless qualities, you begin to anchor your sense of self in something internal and unchanging, rather than something external and temporary. And finally, actively seek out the experience of being a beginner. Take up a new hobby where you have no expertise, no mask of the expert to wear. Learn to paint, to dance, to play an instrument, to speak a new language. In the space of being a novice, you are free. The pressure to perform is gone. You are allowed to be clumsy, to fail, to laugh at yourself. In these moments, you experience the joy of pure being, unburdened by the need to be good at something. You are simply a consciousness engaged in a new experience. To remove the mask is, at first, a painful act. It feels like you are tearing away your own skin because the fusion has been so complete. The world suddenly feels raw. You feel vulnerable, exposed. But this pain is the pain of healing, the pain of a wound finally being exposed to the clean air. And the feeling of that air on your true face is the feeling of freedom. When you live from behind a mask, you attract things that resonate with the mask. You get the job that fits the competent professional mask. You find a partner who loves the charming and successful mask. But when you are tired, when you are struggling, when the mask inevitably slips, these connections can become fragile because they were made with the facade, not the foundation. When you begin to live from your authentic, unmasked presence, you radiate a clear, true signal. You attract people and circumstances that resonate with the core of who you are. The connections you make are deeper, more resilient, and infinitely more satisfying. The invitation is not to abandon your responsibilities. It is to hold your roles more lightly. See them as temporary costumes you wear, beautiful and useful for a time, but not as your true identity. You can be a dedicated parent without your entire identity being consumed by parenthood. You can be a brilliant professional without believing that your worth as a human being is tied to your last success. The ultimate act of attraction through non-doing is to cease the performance. It is to rest in the quiet, dignified, and powerful presence of your own true being. Stop trying to be someone. Simply allow yourself to be. We have stripped away the illusion of control, quieted the echo chamber of external noise, faced the hungry void within, shed the shadow of scarcity, and unfastened the mask of identity. What lies beneath all of these layers? What is the ground upon which a new way of being can be built? The answer is found in a force that we have been taught to fear, to avoid, and to fill at all costs. It is found in the gravity of silence. We are a culture allergic to quiet. Observe yourself. Observe the people around you. Notice the automatic, almost convulsive urge to fill any empty space of time or sound. The moment a conversation lulls, someone makes a joke or checks their phone. The moment we get in the car, the radio or a podcast is switched on. We walk, we cook, we clean, we exercise with headphones firmly in place, pumping a steady stream of music, news, and other people's thoughts directly into our consciousness. We have become so conditioned to this constant input that true deep silence feels jarring, uncomfortable, even hostile. It feels like a failure, a sign that nothing is happening. We experience it as boredom, as loneliness, as a kind of auditory starvation. But what we are really feeling is fear. We are afraid of silence, because silence is the great mirror. It reflects back to us, with unflinching honesty, exactly what is happening inside. Without the buffer of distraction, we are left alone with ourselves. The anxieties we have been running from begin to surface. The sadness we have suppressed with busyness makes its presence known. The relentless inner critic, usually drowned out by external noise, suddenly has the microphone, and its voice is loud and clear. Silence removes all our hiding places. It takes away our masks, it dissolves our excuses, it cancels our performance. In the quiet, you cannot be the busy professional or the devoted parent. You can only be you. And for many of us, this is the most terrifying encounter imaginable. Our addiction to noise is, at its core, a flight from the self. This creates a painful, deeply draining internal conflict. There is the surface-level habit of the mind, which is like a restless child, always demanding more stimulation, more entertainment, more distraction. It equates stillness with death and activity with life. It will do anything to avoid the perceived discomfort of quiet introspection. It will generate endless to-do lists, replay old conversations, and worry about imaginary futures just to keep the inner show running. But beneath this frantic surface activity, there is a deeper, wiser part of you that is suffocating. Your soul, your authentic being, is starved for silence. It craves the space to breathe, to heal, to integrate experience, and to simply rest. It knows that clarity, wisdom, and genuine peace cannot be found in the noise. They can only arise from the quiet. This is the conflict between the frantic doing of the ego and the profound being of the soul. It is the tension between the fear of self-confrontation and the deep, intrinsic need for self-connection. We are caught between a habit that depletes us and a need that we are afraid to meet. The path to resolution begins with a fundamental re-education. We must unlearn our fear and misunderstandings about the nature of silence. We have been taught that silence is an absence, a lack, a void. This is untrue. Silence is not empty, it is full. It is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of awareness. It is the fertile ground in which everything of value can finally take root. Imagine your mind as the surface of the ocean during a storm. It is choppy, chaotic, and relentlessly in motion. You are tossed about by every wave of thought, every gust of emotion. Life on the surface is exhausting and reactive. This is the state of a mind saturated with noise. Now, imagine you learn how to dive. You take a breath and slip beneath the turbulent surface. Just a few feet down, the chaos begins to subside. The roar of the wind and waves becomes a distant hum. The deeper you go, the more profound the stillness becomes. Here, in the vast, quiet depths, there is no storm. There is only a deep, powerful, and intelligent calm. The potential of the entire ocean is in this stillness. This is the inner world of silence. The storm on the surface has not necessarily stopped, but it no longer has power over you. You have accessed a different dimension of your own being. This journey into silence must be approached with gentleness and patience. You cannot force it. You must acclimate. You do not begin by trying to meditate for an hour. You begin by cultivating small, intentional moments of quiet. Start with your senses. The next time you drink a cup of coffee or tea, commit to taking the first 3 sips in absolute silence. Do not scroll on your phone. Do not plan your day. Simply be present with the experience. Feel the warmth of the mug in your hands. See the steam rising. Smell the aroma. Taste the liquid as it touches your tongue. For those 30 seconds, you have dived beneath the waves. You have created a microdose of silent presence. Reclaim your transitional moments. The drive to the grocery store, the walk from the parking lot to your office, the time spent waiting for an elevator. These are moments we typically fill with automatic distraction. Choose just once a day to inhabit one of these transitions in silence. Turn off the car radio. Put the phone in your pocket. Simply observe the world around you without commentary. Notice the quality of the light, the expression on a stranger's face, the feeling of your feet on the ground. These are not wasted moments. They are opportunities to come home to yourself. Create silent bookends for your day. Before you reach for your phone in the morning, give yourself 5 minutes. You can sit on the edge of your bed, look out the window, or simply lie still. Just 5 minutes of quiet transition between the world of sleep and the world of doing. In the evening, do the same. After you have put your devices away for the night, grant yourself 5 minutes of silence before you sleep. Let the sediment of the day settle. This simple practice creates a protective buffer of peace around your life. It is crucial to understand that the goal of these practices is not to achieve a perfectly empty mind. That is a myth that creates frustration and failure. Your mind is a thought-generating machine. That is its job. The goal is not to stop the thoughts, but to stop being carried away by them. In silence, you learn to become the observer of your thoughts, not their victim. You are the deep, still ocean, and the thoughts are merely waves on the surface. You can watch them rise and fall without being disturbed. When you cultivate this inner silence, your relationship with the world changes. A mind agitated by constant noise cannot perceive reality clearly. It projects its own chaos onto everything it sees. A mind that is still begins to reflect the world with stunning clarity. Just as a calm lake can perfectly mirror the vastness of the sky, a quiet mind can reflect the truth of a situation without distortion. Intuition is the language of this quiet space. It does not shout. It whispers. You can only hear its guidance when you are still enough to listen. Creative insights do not arise from a mind crammed with information and other people's opinions. They bubble up from the quiet, fertile depths of your own consciousness. By embracing silence, you transform yourself from a chaotic broadcaster of mental static into a powerful, clear receiver. You become receptive to the subtle signals of the universe, to serendipity, to the quiet voice of your own soul. You are no longer trying to figure everything out with a frantic, noisy mind. You are creating the inner conditions for the answers to arrive. See silence not as a discipline or a chore, but as an act of profound kindness to yourself. It is the ultimate luxury in a world that is addicted to noise. It is the space where you can finally put down your burdens, heal your wounds, and hear the truth of who you are. Do not be afraid of it. It is not empty. It is the home you have been searching for. It is the quiet center of the storm. It is you. The silence we have cultivated is not an empty state. It is not a destination. It is the necessary environment for the most transformative practice one can undertake. It is the clean, well-lit laboratory in which you can begin the great work of self-discovery. This work is not about adding anything to yourself, nor is it about fixing what you perceive to be broken. It is about the simple, radical act of self-observation. For most of our lives, we do not observe our minds. We are hopelessly entangled within them. We do not have thoughts. Our thoughts have us. We are not experiencing emotions. We are possessed by them. Imagine being trapped inside a spinning washing machine, tossed about in a chaotic slurry of memories, worries, plans, and judgments. You are so identified with the motion and the noise that you believe you are the chaos. This is the default human condition. A thought arises in the mind, "I am not good enough," and we do not perceive it as a fleeting, impersonal electrical event in the brain. We experience it as a direct and absolute truth about our identity. A feeling of anxiety appears in the body. and we do not see it as a temporary wave of sensation. We become the anxiety. Our entire sense of self collapses into the feeling, and we declare, "I am anxious." This fusion, this complete identification with the transient contents of our mind, is the primary source of our suffering. We spend our days defending thoughts that are not us, justifying emotions that are not us, and fighting for a mental territory that we have mistaken for our very soul. The practice of non-doing, of intentional stillness, creates the possibility of a profound separation. It allows you to stop being the prisoner inside the washing machine and instead become the calm, curious person standing in the room, simply watching it spin. This is self-observation. It is the conscious act of turning your awareness back upon itself and witnessing the flow of your own inner world without judgment, and crucially, without immediate reaction. This initiates a new kind of internal conflict, not a stressful one, but a developmental one. It is the conflict between the deeply ingrained habit of reaction and the new, liberating skill of observation. The reactive mind, the ego, is a compulsive doer. When a painful thought appears, it immediately wants to do something about it. Suppress it, analyze it, argue with it, or distract from it. When a pleasant feeling arises, it immediately wants to cling to it, to hold on to it, to ensure it never leaves. This constant inner management is exhausting. It is the inner equivalent of clenching your fist around sand. The observer, however, is not a doer. The observer is a seer. Its only function is to witness. It meets every thought, every feeling, every sensation with the same calm, impartial, and spacious attention. It does not grade your thoughts as good or bad. It does not try to fix your feelings. It simply allows them to be, to arise, and to pass away, like weather patterns moving through the sky. The most powerful metaphor for this practice is that of a still lake. When the waters of your mind are churned up by the winds of constant doing and reacting, the lake can reflect nothing. It is a murky, chaotic surface, mirroring only its own turbulence. The practice of silence allows the winds to die down and the sediment to settle. As the water becomes still, it transforms into a perfect mirror. It can now reflect, with perfect clarity, the sky above. The clouds that drift across the sky are your thoughts and emotions. Some are dark and stormy, some are light and wispy, some are brilliantly colored at sunrise. The lake does not judge the clouds. It does not try to hold on to the beautiful ones or push away the ugly ones. It does not become the cloud. It simply provides the still, clear space in which the reflection of the cloud can appear and disappear without a trace. Your awareness is this lake. The core message, the great key that unlocks the prison of the mind, is this: you are not the cloud. You are not even the reflection of the cloud. You are the still, silent water that witnesses it all. This realization is the beginning of true freedom. When the thought, "I am a failure," drifts through the mind, you no longer have to become it. You can see it for what it is, a dark cloud passing through the vast sky of your awareness. You can say, "Ah, I see the thought of failure has appeared." In that moment of seeing, you have separated from it. It has lost its power over you. You are no longer the thought. You are the space in which the thought is happening. How do we cultivate this skill of being the lake instead of the storm? We begin with the simple practice of noting or labeling. Throughout your day, when you notice a strong thought or emotion taking hold of you, make a soft, gentle mental note. As a wave of anger rises, instead of being swept away by it, mentally whisper, "Anger." Just that. Anger. As the mind starts racing with plans about the future, note, planning. When a feeling of sadness descends, sadness. This simple act of labeling is incredibly powerful. It is like placing a small wedge between you and the experience. It creates a moment of mindful separation. It shifts you from being the actor lost in the drama to being the audience member watching the play. Then, you must integrate the sacred pause, into your life. The space between stimulus and response is the space of your power. A critical email arrives. The stimulus is there. The urge to react, to defend, to justify is immediate. The practice is to pause. Do not type. Do not even formulate a response. For 30 seconds, just observe the feeling in your body. Observe the storm of thoughts. See them as clouds. Witness the urge to react as just another wave. From this place of calm observation, your eventual response will be infinitely wiser and more effective. You can also use visualization. Imagine you are sitting peacefully on the bank of a gently flowing river. Each thought that enters your mind is a leaf that has fallen into the water. Your task is not to analyze the leaves, or to stop them, or to fish them out. Your task is simply to sit on the bank and watch them float by. Some leaves are large, some are small. They appear from upstream, drift past you, and disappear downstream. You remain on the bank, still and serene. You are the witness of the stream, not the stream itself. By practicing this, you are fundamentally redefining your identity. You are shifting your sense of self away from the transient, chaotic contents of your mind and anchoring it in the vast, stable, and peaceful nature of awareness itself. You realize you are the sky, not the weather. The weather of your life will always change. There will be sunny days and stormy days. There will be periods of calm and periods of turbulence. But the sky, your core essence of pure awareness, remains untouched, unstained, and ever-present. This brings a profound sense of equanimity. You are no longer a victim of your moods. You can experience sadness without becoming sad. You can experience anger without becoming an angry person. When you abide as this calm observer, the energy you radiate is transformed. A person who is fused with every thought and fear broadcasts a signal of chaos and reactivity. They are unpredictable, needy, and draining to be around. But a person who has discovered the still point of the observer within radiates a quiet, stable, and powerful presence. They are a calming influence. They are a safe harbor in a storm. This centered, non-reactive energy is deeply attractive. It doesn't need to strive or grasp. Its wholeness becomes a silent invitation. By ceasing the inner doing of reacting, judging, and identifying, you become a master of your inner world. In the simple, silent, and powerful act of watching, you find not only freedom, but a magnetic presence that draws to you the peace and clarity you have ceased to chase. As we learn to inhabit the quiet space of the observer, witnessing the ceaseless flow of our own minds, a new challenge presents itself. A subtle but potent fear begins to arise. It is the fear that in letting go of our frantic mental engagement, we will also let go of our passion, our drive, and our very ability to function in the world. As we practice watching our anxieties about the future float by without grabbing onto them, a voice whispers, "If you are not worried, you will not be motivated. If you are not obsessed with the outcome, you will fail." This is the great misunderstanding that stands as a gatekeeper to a more profound way of living. It is the confusion between two vastly different states, detachment and apathy. We have been taught to believe they are the same. We picture the detached person as a cold, aloof figure, passionless and indifferent, floating through life without care or commitment. Apathy, on the other hand, is a state we recognize as a kind of spiritual death, a giving up. And so, fearing apathy, we cling to our anxious attachments, believing that the stress, the worry, and the obsession are the necessary price we must pay for success and engagement. This is a false choice, a tragic error in navigation that keeps millions chained to a life of needless suffering. Detachment is not the absence of care, it is the absence of fear. Apathy is the refusal to engage. Detachment is the purification of our engagement. It is the path to a more potent, more joyful, and far more effective way of moving through the world. To understand the difference, we must first dissect the nature of our attachments. When we are attached to an outcome, our happiness becomes conditional. I will be happy if I get this promotion. I will feel worthy if this person approves of me. My life will be a success if I achieve this specific goal. This if-then structure places the entirety of our well-being in a future that we cannot control, hostage to external events and the whims of other people. This creates a baseline state of anxiety because we are constantly living in a precarious and uncertain future. Our actions are no longer driven by the joy of the task itself, but by the desperate need to secure a specific result to alleviate our fear. This is a state of profound disempowerment. Apathy is a response to the pain of this state. The apathetic person, having perhaps failed too many times or felt the sting of disappointment too deeply, decides to stop playing the game altogether. They say, "It doesn't matter. I don't care." This is a defense mechanism. It is a closing down of the heart, a refusal to invest energy in order to avoid the pain of loss. It is a declaration of defeat. Detachment is the way of the master. The detached person also recognizes the pain and futility of being attached to outcomes, but instead of refusing to play, they change the way they play the game. They make a radical shift in their source of validation and fulfillment. They withdraw their emotional investment from the uncontrollable future outcome and reinvest it entirely into the one thing they can control, the quality of their action in the present moment. The perfect metaphor for this is the master archer. The amateur archer is consumed by the target. Their mind is filled with thoughts of hitting or missing. Their self-worth for the day is riding on whether the arrow finds the bullseye. Because their mind is in the future, their body is filled with tension. Their breath is shallow. Their hand trembles. Their attachment to the outcome corrupts the process of shooting. The master archer, on the other hand, has a different relationship with the target. The target serves only to give their action a direction. Their true focus, their entire universe, is in the process. They are absorbed in the feeling of their feet on the ground, the precise way they draw the bowstring, the anchor point on their cheek, the steadiness of their breath. Their joy and fulfillment are found in the perfect, graceful, and powerful execution of the act of shooting. The moment the arrow is released, their work is done. They watch its flight with a calm, quiet mind. They have given it their absolute best, and the result is no longer in their hands. They are fully committed to the action, but entirely detached from the outcome. This is not apathy. This is the highest form of focused engagement. The irony is that the master archer, by being detached from the result, is far more likely to hit the bullseye. Their calm, focused process is not corrupted by the anxiety of a future goal. How do we become this master archer in our own lives? We start by consciously separating what we can control from what we cannot. Imagine you have two baskets. In the first basket, place everything that is 100% within your control. Your attitude today, your effort, your focus, your integrity, the quality of your work in this moment, the kindness you show to others. This is your basket. Your sacred duty is to pour all of your life force and attention into filling this basket to the best of your ability. In the second basket, place everything you cannot control. The final result of your project, whether people like you or approve of your work, the behavior of others, luck, timing, and the ultimate trajectory of your arrow once it has left your bow. This second basket is not yours to carry. Your practice is to consciously, deliberately, and repeatedly release this basket to the universe. You do your work in the first basket with passion and excellence, and you let go of the second with trust and equanimity. This practice reorients your entire life. You begin to set process-oriented goals. Instead of being obsessed with the outcome of losing 20 pounds, you fall in love with the process of going for a nourishing walk and eating a healthy meal today. You can control the walk and the meal. You cannot directly control the number on the scale. By finding joy in the controllable process, you release the anxiety of the uncontrollable result. You shift your aim from winning the game to playing the game beautifully. This is the antidote to burnout. burnout is rarely caused by hard work itself. It is caused by the immense emotional and psychological weight of being attached to the results of that hard work. It is the strain of carrying both baskets. When you learn to put down the second basket, you are left with only the joyful, engaging work in your own domain. Your energy is no longer wasted on worrying, predicting, and trying to manipulate the future. It is all available for a powerful, focused performance in the now. This state of detached engagement is profoundly magnetic. A person who is needy and attached to an outcome radiates an energy of desperation. They are grasping, clinging, and fearful. This energy repels. A person who is apathetic radiates an energy of lifelessness. They are closed off and disengaged. This energy also repels. But a person who is passionately engaged in their process, yet calmly detached from the outcome, radiates an energy of quiet confidence, of self-sufficiency, of freedom. They are not acting to get something from you or from the world. They are acting from a place of inner wholeness, finding their reward in the action itself. This energy is incredibly attractive. It inspires trust. It makes people want to be around you and support you, not because you need them to, but because they are drawn to the integrity of your presence. Detachment, therefore, is not a withdrawal from life. It is the key to engaging with it more fully, more joyfully, and more powerfully than ever before. It is the discovery that the real prize was never the target. It was the thrill of drawing the bow with a steady hand and a calm heart. In our journey inward, we have peeled back layers of doing and have arrived at the still, quiet center of the observer. We have found a place from which we can watch the storms of the mind without being swept away. But in a moment of crisis, when the winds of anxiety or fear blow with ferocious intensity, how do we find this center? Where is the emergency brake we can pull to stop ourselves from being hurtled into the chaos? The answer is not in your mind. The answer is beneath it. It is the very ground upon which you stand, the vessel you inhabit, the one thing in your life that never lies and is always, unfailingly, present. The answer is your body. For most of our lives, we treat our bodies like vehicles whose only purpose is to chauffeur our brains from one meeting to the next. We live as disembodied heads, floating in a world of abstract concepts, plans, memories, and worries. Our minds are masterful time travelers. In the space of a single minute, they can leap from a regret about something we did 10 years ago to an anxious projection about an event next week, to a fantasy about a future vacation. The mind rarely, if ever, rests in the only moment that is ever real, the present. The body, however, knows no other time. It cannot exist in the past or the future. It is always, irrevocably, here and now. This simple, profound truth holds the key to anchoring ourselves when the seas of thought become too rough. The most direct path out of the imaginary world of the mind is to drop your awareness fully into the tangible, living reality of the body. The reason we abandon our bodies is twofold. Our culture glorifies the intellect. We are praised for our thoughts, our ideas, our plans. We are taught to think our way through problems, to analyze and strategize. The body, with its non-verbal, intuitive wisdom, is often seen as secondary, a primitive machine compared to the supercomputer of the brain. We also learn to disconnect from the body because it can be a place of pain. It holds our unprocessed grief, our trauma, our physical discomforts. It is sometimes easier to retreat into the clean, abstract world of thought than it is to feel the messy, complicated, and sometimes painful sensations of our physical selves. This creates a dangerous split. The mind becomes like a balloon whose string has been cut, drifting ever higher into the thin, cold air of anxiety and abstraction. The body, meanwhile, becomes a stranger, a vessel whose subtle signals of stress, fatigue, and unease are ignored until they are forced to scream for attention in the form of illness, injury, or complete burnout. The great internal conflict of the modern human is this constant battle between the mind's addiction to time travel and the body's unwavering loyalty to the present moment. The mind insists, We must worry about tomorrow's presentation. The body gently whispers, but right now the chair is holding us and our breath is flowing. The mind screams, we must feel shame for that mistake we made last year. The body calmly replies, but right now the sun is warm on our skin. We are perpetually caught between the mind's manufactured emergencies and the body's simple, honest, and grounding truths. The path to integration and peace is to learn how to consciously shift your identity from the frantic, time-traveling mind to the stable, present-moment body. Imagine you are a great tree. The leaves and thin upper branches are your thoughts. They are designed to rustle and dance in the wind, constantly in motion. The thicker branches are your emotions, swaying more slowly but powerfully in response to the weather. For most of an unexamined life, we believe we are the leaves, identified with every fleeting thought and flutter of anxiety. But you are not just the leaves. You are also the massive, solid trunk of the tree. And more importantly, you are the deep, unseen root system that spreads out beneath the earth. This root system is your body. No matter how violently the storm rages in the canopy above, the tree remains standing because it is firmly anchored to the earth. The roots provide stability, nourishment, and an unshakable connection to the ground of being. Learning to inhabit your body is the act of remembering that you are the trunk and the roots, not just the trembling leaves. It is the practice of drawing your awareness down from the noisy chaos of your head and into the quiet, solid strength of your physical form. This is your anchor in any storm. How do we practice this embodiment? You must learn to speak the body's language, which is the language of sensation. The practice can be radically simple. Right now, as you are listening to these words, bring your full and complete attention to the soles of your feet. Without wiggling your toes or moving at all, simply feel them. Feel the pressure where they connect with the floor. Feel the texture of your socks or the coolness of the air on your skin. Pour your entire consciousness into the soles of your feet for just 10 seconds. In that moment, you have dropped anchor. You have traveled from the chaotic, conceptual world of your mind directly into the living, breathing reality of the now. This is a portable sanctuary, available to you at any time. When you feel a wave of anxiety rising, drop anchor. Feel your feet on the ground. When you are lost in a loop of worry, drop anchor. Feel the weight of your body sitting in your chair. The breath is another primary anchor. Forgetting the complex spiritual ideas about breath, just focus on the raw physical sensation. Feel the air, slightly cool, as it enters your nostrils. Feel the subtle expansion of your rib cage and the gentle rise of your abdomen. Feel the release as you exhale. Ride the physical wave of each breath as if you were a surfer. Each wave is happening now. Each breath is an anchor pulling you back from the past and the future and into the safety of the present. A more formal practice is the body scan. This involves lying down and bringing your curious, non-judgmental attention to each part of your body in sequence, starting with the tips of your toes and slowly moving up to the crown of your head. You are not trying to fix or change anything. You are simply showing up, inhabiting the forgotten territories of your own physical form, and replacing judgment with gentle presence. This practice mends the split between mind and body, telling every cell that it is seen, felt, and included in your awareness. When you learn to live in this embodied way, you are no longer a kite without a string, tossed about by every gust of thought. You become the grounded presence holding the string, allowing your mind to soar and create and explore, but always connected to the firm, stable reality of the earth. This groundedness transforms your energy. A person living entirely in their head radiates a scattered, nervous, and slightly unreal quality. They are not fully here. A person who is rooted in their body radiates a solid, calm, and integrated presence. They feel real. They feel safe. Their stillness is a silent source of strength that is deeply reassuring and profoundly attractive to others. They are not easily knocked off center. because they are anchored in a truth deeper than thought. Your body is not your enemy. It is not a machine to be optimized or a flaw to be overcome. It is your most constant companion, your wisest counselor, and your direct, unwavering connection to life as it is. Come home to it. Drop your anchor. In the quiet, simple reality of your own physical presence, you will find the peace you have been thinking about for so long. Having anchored ourselves in the living reality of the body, we find a new ground of being. We have a safe harbor from the storms of the mind, but even a securely anchored ship can feel cluttered and overwhelmed. We have addressed our inner world, but now we must turn our attention to the structure of our lives themselves. Look at the architecture of your days, your weeks, your home, your mind. What is its defining characteristic? For most of us, the honest answer is clutter. We are living in a state of chronic oversaturation. Our calendars are a frantic mosaic of back-to-back appointments, with no margins for breath or spontaneity. Our homes are filled with objects we no longer use or love, silent monuments to past versions of ourselves. Our minds are jammed with open loops, half-finished projects, and an endless stream of digital information. We suffer from a deep-seated horror vacui, a terror of empty space. We believe that a full life is a life filled to the brim, and so we cram every available moment and every empty corner, fearing that any gap is a sign of waste, of unproductivity, of a life not fully lived. We have been sold a lie, the lie that more is more. The truth is that this relentless accumulation, this compulsive filling of every space, is a form of self-suffocation. We are drowning in the very fullness we have so desperately sought. This terror of emptiness is not a simple preference for busyness. It is a profound existential anxiety. An empty hour in our schedule forces us to be alone with ourselves, without a task to perform or a role to play. An empty shelf in our home reminds us of what we lack or what we have lost. An empty mind, free from the chatter of a podcast or the urgency of a to-do list, can feel like a confrontation with the void itself. And so, we fill the space. We say yes to commitments we don't have the energy for. We buy things we don't need. We consume information we will never use. This clutter, physical, temporal, and mental, serves as a buffer. It is a shield against the discomfort of direct contact with the present moment and with our own unfiltered consciousness. The tragic irony is that the shield we create becomes our prison. The life we have so carefully filled becomes a cage of our own making, leaving no room for the very things we most deeply desire: peace, clarity, creativity, and the space for new and wonderful things to enter our lives. The internal conflict that arises from this is the feeling of being chronically overwhelmed by a life you yourself have built. It is the paradox of wanting more freedom while continuing to add more bars to your own cage. It is the battle between the part of you that compulsively says yes out of fear of missing out, and the wiser, deeper part of you that is gasping for air, pleading for less. It is the soul's desperate need for breathing room clashing with the ego's frantic need for fullness. The profound shift, the architectural revolution, begins with this realization. Emptiness is not a vacuum to be feared, but a vessel to be honored. It is not a lack, but a prerequisite. You must become a conscious, intentional architect of emptiness in your own life. Imagine your life as a room. Over the years, you have filled it with furniture. Some of it was once beautiful, but is now worn out. Some of it was given to you by others and never truly fit your style. Some of it is just junk that has accumulated in the corners. The room is now so crammed that you can barely move. There is no space for light to enter, no room to dance, no place to rest. Now, imagine someone comes to your door and offers you a magnificent gift, a beautiful, comfortable chair, the perfect piece of art, a plant that will bring life and oxygen into the space. Where would you put it? The answer is nowhere. There is no room. You would be forced to turn the gift away. This is the state of our lives. We ask the universe for peace, but our schedules are a chaos of noise and obligation. We ask for a new, loving relationship, but our hearts and minds are cluttered with the ghosts of past grievances. We ask for a creative breakthrough, but our mental space is filled with trivial worries and endless distraction. The universe cannot give you a gift if your hands are already full, clutching onto the clutter of the past. You must be willing to let go. You must be willing to create the space. You must build the architecture of emptiness. How do you begin this renovation? You start by learning the sacred power of the word no. Every time you say no to a commitment that does not truly align with your heart, you are not rejecting another person. You are saying a powerful yes to your own inner space. You are choosing to leave a patch of your calendar beautifully, intentionally empty. Treat this empty time as a non-negotiable appointment with possibility. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. The urge to fill it will be immense. Resist. Sit in the empty hour. Take a walk with no destination. Stare out the window. In this unstructured space, your soul will finally have room to speak. Insights will arise. Creativity will bubble up. You will begin to hear your own wisdom. Next, apply this principle to your physical environment. You do not need to become a Spartan minimalist overnight. Start with one drawer. The junk drawer in the kitchen. A drawer of old clothes. A drawer of forgotten papers. Empty it completely. Clean the empty space. Then, handle each item one by one. Only put back what is truly useful, beautiful, or deeply meaningful. Let go of the rest. Stand back and look at the clean, ordered, spacious drawer. Feel the sense of clarity and peace it gives you. That feeling is the reward. That is the feeling you can expand to your entire home and your entire life. You are not just clearing a drawer. You are practicing the art of making space for what matters. And finally, you must create space in your mind. At the end of each day, perform a closing ceremony. Take a piece of paper and perform a mind dump. Write down every task, worry, idea, and unresolved issue that is swirling in your head. Externalize the mental clutter. Once it is on the page, you can let it go for the night. You are telling your mind, "Thank you, I have received the message." You are relieved of duty until morning. This ritual creates a clear, empty space for genuine rest and rejuvenation. When you deliberately create space in your life, you are sending a powerful signal to the universe. A cluttered, overstuffed life radiates an energy of stress, chaos, and unavailability. It says, "I am full. I am busy. I have no room for anything new." It is a closed door. An intentional life, with beautiful, open spaces in its architecture, radiates an energy of calm, of readiness, of welcome. It is an open door. It is a vessel waiting to be filled. This is the physics of attraction. An empty space creates a gentle vacuum, a pull. By clearing out the old, you are not creating loss. You are creating an invitation. By letting go of the good, you make room for the extraordinary. This requires a deep trust, the trust that if you let go of the clutter that gives you a false sense of security, something better will arrive to fill the space you have made. This is the faith of the architect, who knows that the beauty of a building is defined as much by its empty spaces, its windows, its hallways, its high ceilings as it is by its walls. Your life is this building. Dare to knock down a few walls, dare to clear out a room. Dare to stand in the quiet, spacious emptiness you have created and feel the thrill of possibility. You are not creating a void. You are building your own beautiful, sacred vessel. And the nature of such a vessel is to be filled with precisely what it was designed to hold. Into the beautiful, empty space we have architected, something new can now flow. But what determines the quality of what fills this space? What is the force that gives shape and direction to our lives? It is the most powerful and most squandered resource we possess. It is the very currency of our reality. It is our attention. In the economy of the 21st century, you are not the consumer. You are the product, and your attention is the commodity being bought and sold every second of every day. Vast and powerful forces are dedicated to a single goal: to mine this precious resource from you to capture it, and to sell it to the highest bidder. We have been conditioned to believe that our attention is a trivial thing, an infinite resource to be spent carelessly on whatever flickers most brightly before our eyes. This is a catastrophic misunderstanding. Your attention is not trivial. It is your life force. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. The sum total of your life will be nothing more and nothing less than the sum total of what you have chosen to pay attention to. Look back on a day when you felt busy and exhausted, yet strangely unaccomplished. Where did your currency go? It was likely spent in small, unthinking transactions. A 5-minute scroll through a feed of curated outrage, a 10-minute detour into a celebrity's drama, a 20-minute dive into anxiety-inducing news headlines you cannot influence. Each transaction felt small, insignificant, but added together, they represent a massive expenditure of your life's creative capital, for which you received almost nothing of value in return. You have been rendered attention poor by 1,000 tiny cuts. The neurological addiction to this expenditure is powerful. Our brains are wired to seek novelty and to respond to threats, and the digital world is a masterful exploiter of this ancient wiring. Every notification is a small promise of social validation, a tiny hit of dopamine. Every alarming headline is a manufactured threat that hijacks our primal brain. We are caught in a relentless cycle of stimulus and response, a dopamine loop that keeps us scrolling, clicking, and refreshing, always seeking the next small hit, while our capacity for deep, sustained focus atrophies. This creates a painful internal conflict. There is a wise, ambitious part of you that knows what is truly important. It wants to write the book, to build the business, to learn the new skill, to be truly present with your loved ones. It knows that all of these worthy goals require the one thing you have in short supply: sustained, unbroken attention. But this wise self is in a constant battle with the addicted, novelty-seeking brain, which craves the easy, shallow stimulation of distraction. It is the moment-to-moment war between doing the hard, meaningful work and succumbing to the easy, empty distraction. This conflict is the source of our procrastination, our frustration, and the nagging feeling that we are living a life of shallow reactivity rather than one of deep, intentional creation. We are living lives that are chosen for us by algorithms, not by our own souls. The key to reclaiming your life is to stop treating your attention like loose change and to start treating it like your most sacred and valuable currency. You must become a conscious and even ruthless investor of your attention. The guiding principle is simple. Where you place your attention, you are placing your life. Imagine your attention is a powerful beam of light, like a spotlight in a dark theater. In its untrained default state, your spotlight is erratic. It flickers and jumps from one object to another, briefly illuminating a face in the crowd, then a piece of scenery, then a spot on the ceiling, never resting anywhere for long enough to see anything clearly. This is the scattered mind, weak and ineffective. The practice of non-doing is not about turning the light off. It is about taking conscious command of the spotlight. It is about stopping its frantic, uncontrolled swinging, choosing a worthy subject, and holding the beam steady, allowing its focused light to reveal the details, the beauty, and the truth of what it illuminates. When you focus this beam on a single task, it generates heat and power. This is the state of flow, where deep work happens, where problems are solved, where art is created. When you focus this beam on another person in conversation, listening with your full presence, it creates a powerful bond of intimacy and understanding. When you focus this beam on your inner world, on your breath and your body, it illuminates the landscape of your own consciousness. Your life is the stage, and you are the lighting director. The quality of the show depends entirely on how you manage the light. How do you become a master investor of your own attention? You begin with a daily attention audit. Instead of starting your day with a to-do list, start with an attention intention. Ask yourself, what one or two things today are most worthy of the sacred investment of my unbroken focus? Where will I direct my spotlight? This sets your compass. Then, throughout the day, you must become a vigilant gatekeeper. Before you reflexively click a link, open an app, or turn on the television, create a micro-pause and ask yourself, is this a worthy investment of my life force? Am I seeking to learn, to grow, to connect, or am I simply seeking to numb myself? This question alone, practiced consistently, will radically transform your habits. You must also become a conscious architect of your environment. You cannot win a battle of willpower against a system designed to defeat you. You must redesign the system. Turn off all non-essential notifications on your phone. They are the slot machine levers of the attention economy. Curate your social media feeds aggressively, unfollowing anything that consistently leaves you feeling angry, envious, or depleted. Turn your phone's screen to grayscale, instantly making it a less seductive object. These are not small tweaks. They are acts of rebellion. They are you, rigging the game back in your own favor. Finally, embrace the radical power of single tasking. In a world that glorifies the chaotic myth of multitasking, choose to do one thing at a time. When you are writing an email, just write the email. When you are eating your lunch, just eat your lunch. When you are talking to your child, just talk to your child. By pouring your entire attention into a single, chosen task, you infuse it with a quality and a power that is impossible to achieve with a scattered mind. This mastery of attention is the engine of attraction. A mind that is scattered and constantly distracted broadcasts a weak, incoherent signal to the universe. It holds no clear intention, no focused creative power. It is like trying to start a fire by rubbing sticks together for 2 seconds, then getting distracted by a bird, then trying again for another 2 seconds. Nothing will ever ignite. A mind that has learned to hold a steady, coherent focus is a mind that can shape reality. It can hold a clear vision of what it wants to create and then pour the focused, laser-like beam of its life energy into that vision day after day. This is what it means to be a conscious creator. The universe responds to this clarity and coherence. It begins to organize itself around your focused intention, bringing you the people, resources, and insights needed to bring it to fruition. You are no longer a passive consumer of a life designed by others. You are an active participant in your own becoming. Reclaim your currency. Invest it wisely. For where you place your attention, you will inevitably find your life. We have learned to architect our lives with intentional space, and we have learned to direct the powerful currency of our attention. We have the blueprint and the tool, but now we encounter the most subtle and challenging obstacle of our age, the tyranny of immediacy. We live in a world built to gratify our desires instantly. We summon food, transportation, and entertainment with the tap of a screen. We expect our questions to be answered in seconds, our messages to be returned in minutes. This culture of instant gratification has rewired our brains. It has bled into our expectations for everything, including the deep, organic processes of personal and spiritual growth. We approach our own transformation with the same frantic impatience we apply to a slow-loading web page. We meditate for a week and wonder why we are not yet enlightened. We practice a new habit for a month, and when our lives have not been dramatically revolutionized, we declare that it doesn't work and move on to the next quick fix. This chronic impatience is a spiritual crisis. It is the single greatest reason why most meaningful change is abandoned just before it has a chance to take root. We have forgotten the wisdom of the earth, the wisdom that all things of value, all things that last, emerge not from a sudden flash of force, but from a slow, steady, and often invisible process of unfolding. This impatience stems from a profound lack of trust. When we demand immediate results, it is because we do not trust the process. We are operating from a deep-seated fear that if we do not see constant, visible evidence of progress, then nothing is happening, and our efforts are being wasted. It is the anxious mind, still attached to outcomes, needing reassurance that its investment will pay off on its own demanding schedule. This creates a painful internal conflict between the part of us that craves a quick result, the sprinter, and the part of us that knows deep change requires commitment, the marathon runner. The sprinter within us is seduced by promises of rapid transformation, by life hacks and magic bullets. It wants to put in a short, intense burst of effort and then cross a finish line. The marathon runner, our wiser self, knows that there is no finish line, there is only the path. It knows that consistency over time is infinitely more powerful than short-term intensity. The daily battle between these two impulses is exhausting. It causes us to start and stop, to bounce from one strategy to another, and to live in a state of perpetual frustration with our own perceived lack of progress, never staying with one path long enough for it to bear fruit. To find peace, we must learn to gently quiet the frantic sprinter and to cultivate the calm, steady heart of the marathon runner. We must learn the lost art of patience. Patience is not, as it is often portrayed, a passive act of waiting. It is not resignation or apathetic laziness. True patience is one of the most active and courageous virtues. It is the disciplined and unwavering trust in an unseen process. It is the faith you demonstrate when you continue to show up, to do the work, and to tend the soil of your own being, long before any green shoots are visible. The most powerful metaphor for this is the story of the Chinese bamboo tree. When the seed of this remarkable tree is planted, it must be watered and nurtured every day. For the first year, nothing happens. There is no visible sign of life. The second year, nothing happens. The third and fourth years, still nothing. The farmer continues to water and tend the barren ground, despite having no evidence for their efforts. It would be easy to conclude that the seed is dead, that the process is a failure. Many would have given up, but the wise farmer persists. Then, sometime during the fifth year, something extraordinary occurs. The bamboo sprout breaks through the ground, and in a period of just 6 weeks, it grows to a height of 90 feet. The question is, did the tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow for 5 years? The answer is both. All those years when nothing seemed to be happening, the most critical growth was taking place, hidden from view. A massive, complex, and powerful root system was spreading deep within the earth, creating the necessary foundation to support the explosive growth that was to come. Without the roots, the sudden upward growth would be impossible. This is the nature of your own transformation. When you commit to a new way of being, to practicing silence, to observing your mind, to acting from a place of detachment, you are building your root system. It is quiet, hidden, and unglamorous work. You will not receive applause for it. You will see little external evidence of it. This is the period where patience is required. Patience is the act of watering the barren ground, trusting in the roots you cannot see. How do we cultivate this courageous trust? We must shift our focus from outputs to inputs. Stop obsessively measuring the result, which is an unpredictable output. Instead, measure your success by the quality and consistency of your effort, which is the input you can control. The goal is not to be happy today. That is an output, subject to 1,000 variables. The goal is to perform the actions that I know cultivate happiness. Did I practice my 10 minutes of silence? Did I move my body? Did I choose to invest my attention wisely? If you have done these things, the day is a success, regardless of the emotional weather. You have watered the seed. That is your only job. Trust that the growth will happen in its own time. Adopt the mindset of a gardener. When you plant a carrot seed, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. To do so would destroy it. You accept that there is a natural timeline. Your role is not to force the growth, but to create the optimal conditions for it. You provide water, you ensure there is sunlight, you remove the weeds. Then you step back and allow the quiet miracle of nature to unfold. Treat yourself with the same wise, patient care. Your job is to create the conditions for your own growth. Show up for your practices consistently. Then, let go and trust the process. And while you are trusting, learn to recognize micro-progress. The impatient mind looks only for dramatic, overnight transformations. The patient mind learns to see the subtle evidence of change. Keep a journal. At the end of the day, note one small instance where you were a little calmer, a little more aware, a little kinder to yourself than you were before. Today I felt anger, but I didn't send the reactive text. Today I felt the urge to fill the silence, but I resisted for 1 minute. These are the signs that the roots are growing. These small victories, when acknowledged, provide the nourishment needed to sustain your faith in the process. An impatient energy is a frantic, grasping, and needy energy. It broadcasts a signal of distrust into the universe. It tries to force open a flower bud before it is ready, destroying the very beauty it seeks. A patient energy is calm, grounded, and deeply trusting. It radiates a quiet confidence in the natural rhythm of life. It understands that you cannot rush a harvest. It understands that the greatest power lies not in force, but in allowing. This patient, trusting presence is profoundly magnetic. It signals that you are aligned with the creative forces of life, not fighting against them. You are no longer a frantic child demanding a result. You are a mature co-creator, working in harmony with a timeline far wiser than your own egos. The invitation is to fall in love with the period of unseen growth, to find your joy not in the destination, but in the daily sacred act of tending your own garden, of building your own roots. Trust the unfolding. The bamboo is growing beneath the surface. Water the ground one more day. We have journeyed deep into the interior. We have cleared the clutter of our lives, reclaimed the currency of our attention, and cultivated the profound trust of patience. We have built a new inner architecture. Now we arrive at the central mystery, the question that underlies all this work. How does this inner state of being translate into a new outer reality? How does the quiet work of the soul manifest as tangible change in the world? The answer lies in a principle that has been widely misunderstood, often trivialized into a form of materialistic wishful thinking. The secret is not that you attract what you want. The secret, far more profound and far more empowering, is that you attract what you are. This is the law of resonance, the fundamental physics of consciousness. Your inner state of being the complex, subtle, and powerful combination of your dominant thoughts, your emotional home, your core beliefs, and your embodied presences, not a private experience contained within your skin. It is a broadcast. It is a vibrational signal that you are constantly emitting into the resonant field of the universe. The universe, in turn, is not a deaf and lifeless void. It is a conscious, living intelligence that responds not to your words, not to your desires, but to the frequency of your broadcast. It doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you a perfect reflection of the signal you are sending. This principle creates a fundamental conflict with our old way of operating. The old paradigm, the way of the ego, is to chase. It believes that happiness, love, and peace are things that exist out there, separate from us. It believes that if we can just acquire the right object, the right person, or the right circumstance, then we will feel good. When I find a loving partner, I will feel loved. When I achieve financial success, I will feel abundant and secure. When my life is calm and ordered, I will feel peace. This model places us in a perpetual state of lack, forever striving to get a feeling from the outside world. The new paradigm, the way of resonance, completely inverts this logic. It states that you must first become the feeling you wish to experience. You must generate the state of being within yourself, independent of external conditions. You must feel loved, whole, and complete before the partner arrives. You must cultivate a feeling of abundance and trust before the money appears. You must become a walking embodiment of peace in the midst of your current chaos. This is the great work. It is the shift from being a beggar asking the world for scraps of feeling to becoming a sovereign creator who generates the feeling first thereby commanding a reality that matches it. The ego rebels against this. It screams that this is illogical, that it is delusional. How can I feel abundant when my bank account is empty? How can I feel peaceful when my life is a storm? It is the resistance of a lifetime of conditioning that has taught us that our inner world is a result of the outer world. The truth is, and always has been, the exact opposite. The most elegant metaphor for this principle is the tuning fork. Imagine you have two tuning forks, both tuned to the perfect note of C. One is on a table across the room, silent. You take the other one and you strike it. It begins to vibrate, emitting the clear, pure tone of C into the air. Then, a quiet miracle happens. The second tuning fork, the one you never touched, begins to hum. It begins to vibrate in perfect sympathy with the first. There was no physical wire connecting them. There was only the invisible law of sympathetic resonance. The frequency of the first activated the same latent frequency in the second. Your state of being is the tuning fork that you hold. The universe is the room full of every possible tuning fork, every possible reality, all currently silent and latent. The frequency you choose to vibrate at the note you strike within yourself is what determines which tuning forks in the room begin to hum along with you. If you are constantly striking the note of anxiety, fear, and lack, you cannot be surprised when the universe brings you more circumstances that vibrate at that same frequency. It is not punishing you. It is simply matching your tone. If you want to experience the reality of peace, the note. Sit is futile to stand next to the C tuning fork and beg it to vibrate while you are holding a B note of chaos in your own hand. Your only job is to retune your own instrument. Your only work is to learn how to consistently strike the note of peace within yourself. All the practices we have discussed, silence, observation, detachment, patience, are the methods by which you tune your own instrument. You are learning to shift your frequency from the chaotic static of the ego to the clear, coherent signal of your true self. How then does one consciously strike a new note? This is not about positive thinking in a superficial sense. It is about deep, somatic embodiment. You must act as if, not as a performance for others, but as an energetic rehearsal for yourself. Choose the state of being you wish to attract. Let us say it is calm confidence. For one day, your practice is to embody this state. Ask yourself throughout the day, how would a person of calm confidence walk into this room? How would they breathe? What would be the quality of their voice? How would they respond to this challenging email? Then, you rehearse it. You consciously relax your shoulders. You breathe more deeply into your belly. You speak more slowly and deliberately. You are not faking it. You are generating the physiological and energetic signature of that state within yourself. You are striking the tuning fork of calm confidence, and even if it feels foreign at first, the universe begins to register the new signal. Another powerful practice is to feel the feeling first. Identify a desire. Now, identify the core feeling you believe that desire will give you. Is it freedom? Is it security? Is it joy? Now, put the desire itself aside for a moment. Can you, right now, access even a small glimmer of that feeling? Perhaps you can remember a time you felt completely free. Perhaps you can imagine it vividly. Your job is to become so familiar with the feeling of freedom that you no longer need the external event to produce it. You become a generator of the feeling itself. When you can walk through your day already feeling free, you become a magnet for circumstances that match that freedom. You are resonating with it. You are humming its tune. When you live from this principle, the world shifts from being a place you must conquer to being a mirror that you can polish. Your work is no longer to manipulate the outer world, but to master your inner one. You understand that your feelings are not random reactions, they are creative commands. Your state of being is not a passive experience, it is an active broadcast. You stop chasing love and you focus on radiating it. You stop hunting for abundance and you focus on embodying gratitude and trust. You stop praying for peace and you focus on becoming a peaceful presence. From this state of being, attraction is no longer a strange or mystical force. It is the natural, inevitable consequence of resonance. You are no longer trying, you are simply being. And in that pure, uncluttered, and powerful state of being, everything that belongs to that frequency finds its way to you, as effortlessly and as naturally as a silent tuning fork beginning to sing when it hears the sound of its own true home. We have journeyed to the still center of our being, and from this silent, resonant core, we have begun to understand that our inner state shapes our outer world. A paradox now presents itself, a question that naturally arises from this deep internal work. What about action? We live in a world that requires participation. Bills must be paid, projects must be completed, children must be cared for. Does this philosophy of non-doing mean we are to become passive spectators in our own lives, waiting for the universe to arrange itself around us? This is a crucial and clarifying point. This path does not lead to inaction. It leads to a radical transformation in the very source of our action. It is the shift from action born of anxiety to action born of alignment. For most of an unexamined life, our doing is a reaction to fear. It is driven by a sense of lack, a belief in scarcity, and an urgent need to control outcomes. It is the frantic email you send late at night because you are afraid of being seen as unproductive. It is the rushed decision you make in a meeting because you are afraid of the silence. It is the constant busyness you engage in to quiet the inner voice that says you are not enough. This is action from a place of deficit. It is tense, constricted, and draining. It is like trying to push a car uphill. You may move it, but the effort is immense, and the progress is painful. This kind of action creates ripples of stress and chaos, often leading to results that are suboptimal and require even more frantic effort to correct. This fear-based doing is so deeply ingrained in our culture that we have come to feel guilty in its absence. We are conditioned to believe that a full calendar is a sign of a full life, that exhaustion is a badge of honor, that if we are not hustling, we are failing. This creates a powerful internal conflict. A part of you, the part that has tasted the deep peace of stillness, knows that this frantic way of life is unsustainable and ineffective. It senses there is another way, but the conditioned mind, the inner slave driver, screams in protest. You can't just sit there. You are falling behind. The world will pass you by. It equates stillness with laziness and alignment with apathy. It is the battle between the Protestant work ethic that lives in our heads and the deeper Taoist wisdom that flows in our souls. The soul knows that the most productive state is one of peace and clarity. The ego fears that without the whip of anxiety, all motivation will be lost, and we will descend into passive inertia. To resolve this conflict, we must learn to trust a new source of impulse, a new driver for our action. We must learn to wait for and act upon the powerful, unmistakable current of alignment. Imagine a great river flowing to the sea. The river has no 5-year plan. It does not have a to-do list. It does not worry about the great boulder that lies in its path up ahead. The river has only one simple instruction: to be what it is, water, and to follow the natural law of gravity. When it reaches the boulder, it does not waste its energy trying to smash through it. It does not fret or complain. It simply flows around it. It follows the path of least resistance, its quiet, persistent momentum gently eroding the edges of the rock over time, not through force, but through relentless, effortless flow. This is the model for aligned action. Your primary work is not to figure out every step of the journey from a place of mental anxiety. Your primary work is to cultivate the inner state of alignment to become the river. This means returning to the practices of silence, of self-observation, of detachment, until you achieve a state of inner calm and trust. From this state of being, the right action will emerge, not as a product of frantic calculation, but as a clear, intuitive impulse. It will feel less like a decision you have to force, and more like a path that is simply revealed. It is the next logical step, the next graceful movement in the dance. How do you learn to distinguish this aligned impulse from the familiar static of anxiety? You learn to listen to your body. Action from anxiety has a distinct physical signature. It feels heavy, constricted. It is often accompanied by a shallow breath, a tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach. It feels like a should or a have to. It is a push. Aligned action feels completely different. It feels light, clear, expansive. It often arises with a sense of calm, of rightness, even a quiet excitement. It feels like a get-to. It is a pull. Your practice is to become a connoisseur of these inner sensations. Before taking a significant action, pause. Drop into your body. Ask yourself, does this feel forced, or does it feel like flow? Is it heavy, or is it light? Learning to trust the wisdom of your body over the fear of your mind is a revolutionary act. You must also learn to embrace the waiting room. When faced with a decision and the path is not clear, do not force an answer. Forcing an answer from a place of anxiety will almost always be the wrong one. Instead, consciously place the decision in a mental waiting room. Tell yourself, I am waiting for clarity on this matter. I will not act until the path feels clear and right. This is not passive avoidance. It is an active trust in a deeper intelligence. You then go about your life, focusing on maintaining your inner state of alignment, confident that when the time is right, the answer will emerge with undeniable certainty. And when you feel overwhelmed by the sheer scale of a project, resist the mind's attempt to solve all 100 steps at once. Quiet your mind, sink into your center and ask, what is the very next simple, graceful step I can take? Often, from the stillness, a single, manageable action becomes clear. Take that one step with your full presence, and then return to stillness to await the next. This way of acting is the true meaning of non-doing. It is not about becoming a passive bystander. It is about ceasing the frantic, useless, anxiety-driven actions that drain your energy and muddy your vision. It is about having the courage to be still until an action of genuine power, clarity, and grace emerges from the depths of your being. When you learn to move through the world in this way, you are no longer fighting the current of life. You have become the current. Your actions have a new quality of potency and effectiveness because they are backed by the full force of a universe that rewards clarity and alignment. You achieve far more with far less struggle. You are no longer the soldier, grimly battling your way through a hostile world. You are the dancer, moving in perfect, joyful harmony with the music of existence. You are not forcing your will upon the world. You are allowing the will of a greater intelligence to flow, unimpeded, through you. And that is the source of all masterful creation and all profound peace. From the state of aligned, effortless action, a new question arises. If our doing is to flow from our being, what is the nature of the impulse that directs that flow? What is the driving force? The answer is desire. But this word itself is a source of great confusion. We are taught either to demonize desire as the root of all suffering, something to be extinguished, or to glorify it in its most superficial form, chasing every whim and craving. Both paths are incomplete. The journey of inner work is not about eliminating desire. It is about purifying it. It is about developing the profound wisdom to distinguish between the frantic, hollow wants of the ego and the deep, resonant, and powerful longings of the soul. It is about learning the difference between the firework and the flame. Most of what we call desire in the modern world is the firework. These are the desires of the ego. They are born not from a place of wholeness, but from a place of perceived lack. They are loud, flashy, and urgent. They are almost always comparative, ignited by what we see others having or what our culture tells us is valuable. The desire for a bigger house, a more luxurious car, a more prestigious title, a more perfect body. These wants are not an expression of our authentic self. They are a strategy to heal a wound. The ego believes that if it can acquire these things, it will finally feel worthy, safe, secure, or loved. The energy of these desires is anxious and needy. It is a grasping, clenching energy. And like a firework, even if we achieve them, the experience is spectacular but brief. It explodes in a moment of triumph and then quickly fades, leaving behind only smoke and the inevitable return of the underlying emptiness, prompting the search for the next, even bigger firework. Then there is the flame. This is authentic desire. This is the soul's longing. It does not erupt from a place of lack, but flows from a place of fullness. It is not about fixing something that is broken in you, but about expressing something that is whole and true within you. It is the quiet, persistent, and steady pull toward what you are uniquely designed to create, to learn, or to become. It is the desire to write, not to be a famous author, but because the act of shaping words brings you alive. It is the desire to learn a skill, not to get a better job, but because the process of mastery itself is a source of deep joy. It is the desire to nurture a garden, to build a community, to solve a problem that genuinely fascinates you. Authentic desire is not comparative. It is deeply personal. Its energy is not anxious and grasping, but calm, expansive, and patient. It feels less like a desperate want and more like a quiet, undeniable must. It is the hearth flame, burning steadily in the center of your being. It does not scream for attention, but it provides constant warmth and enduring light. The great internal conflict of a developing soul is learning to ignore the dazzling, deafening explosions of the fireworks and to instead turn inward and tend to the small, quiet flame. Our society celebrates the firework. It rewards the chase for status, wealth, and appearance. It often dismisses the quiet flame of authentic desire as impractical, unprofitable, or self-indulgent. The courage required is to trust your own inner source of warmth over the spectacular but cold light of public opinion. It is the discipline to stop chasing sparks and to start cultivating a sustainable fire. How do we begin to distinguish the firework from the flame? How do we purify our desires? The state of inner stillness we have been cultivating is the crucible in which this purification happens. When you are quiet, the loud, flashy demands of the ego begin to seem hollow. They are fueled by external noise and distraction, and in the silence, they lose their power. The quiet, steady heat of the soul's longing, however, becomes more palpable in the silence. It has been there all along, but you were too distracted by the fireworks to notice it. To aid this process, you must become a compassionate detective of your own desires. When a strong desire arises, begin the inquiry of the 5 whys. I want a promotion. Why? Because I want the respect of my peers. Why? Because I want to feel valued. Why? Because I don't feel valuable as I am. Why? Because I have a core belief that my worth is tied to my achievements. Why? By following the chain, you often discover that the object of your desire, the promotionis, merely a superficial strategy to satisfy a much deeper, more vulnerable need. This insight allows you to separate the strategy from the true longing. Perhaps the authentic desire is not for the promotion at all, but for a sense of self-worth that can be cultivated directly without needing external validation. Next, learn to read the energetic signature of your desires. Pay attention to your body. When you think about a desire, does your body contract? Does your jaw tighten? Your breathing become shallow? Your stomach clench? This is the signature of fear, of the ego's anxious grasping. This is a firework. Or, when you think about the desire, does your body expand? Do you feel a sense of openness in your chest, a quiet energy, a feeling of flow and rightness, even if it feels daunting? This is the signature of authenticity. This is the flame. Trust this somatic wisdom. Your body does not lie. Finally, apply the ultimate litmus test, the test of process versus prize. Ask yourself this powerful question. If I knew with absolute certainty that I would never achieve the final outcome, would I still find joy in the daily process of doing this? If the answer is a resounding yes, you have found your authentic fire. The person whose authentic desire is to write will write even if they are never published. The person whose authentic desire is to understand plants will garden even if no one ever sees it. The joy is inherent in the act itself. This is the sign that you are aligned with your soul's purpose. When you identify this authentic flame, your life's work becomes simple. Your job is to guard it and to feed it. The aligned actions we spoke of earlier are the logs you place on this fire. You act not to impress others or to fill a void, but because the action itself is the natural expression of the fire within. This creates a powerful, self-sustaining loop. The flame inspires the action, and the action feeds the flame. You have now tapped into a source of limitless, sustainable energy that does not depend on external praise or reward. This is the end of burnout. This is the beginning of a life of passionate engagement. Living from this place of authentic desire transforms your magnetic field. The needy, grasping energy of the ego repels. It signals lack. The calm, confident, self-contained energy of an authentic flame attracts. It signals wholeness. You are no longer chasing the world, trying to get it to make you happy. You have become a source of your own warmth and light. And like a warm hearth on a cold night, this presence silently, powerfully, and effortlessly draws to it the people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with its true nature. You are no longer seeking a life that looks good on the outside. You are building a life that feels right from the inside. And that is a fire that can warm the world. When you have aligned your action with the clear, steady flame of your authentic desire, you have done all that is in your power to do. You have become the master archer, focusing with perfect clarity on the process. And you have released the arrow. Now, as the arrow flies through the air, you arrive at the final and most profound practice of all. You arrive at the boundary between your will and the will of the universe. Here, you are faced with a choice. You can either stand in tense, anxious anticipation, trying to mentally steer the arrow toward its target, or you can perform the ultimate act of power and grace. You can surrender. In our culture, the word surrender is deeply misunderstood. We equate it with failure, with weakness, with waving a white flag in defeat. It conjures images of giving up, of being conquered, of losing. But in the context of a spiritual life, this definition is entirely false. True surrender is not a passive act of defeat. It is a conscious, intelligent, and courageous act of co-creation. It is the wisdom to recognize that there is a current, an intelligence, a flow to life that is far greater and wiser than the frantic machinations of our own small ego. Surrender is not giving up. It is the act of finally letting go of the exhausting, futile, and painful struggle of swimming against the current of reality. The ego recoils from the idea of surrender. Its entire identity, as we have seen, is built upon the illusion of control. To the ego, surrendering feels like death, because it means relinquishing its position as the sole captain of the ship. It means admitting that it is not the most powerful force in its own life. This is why we fight so hard. We resist what is. We argue with reality. When things do not go according to our meticulously crafted plans, we rage, we despair, we try to force them back on course. This resistance is the source of almost all our suffering. The painful event itself is one arrow. The story we tell ourselves about it, our refusal to accept it, our fight against it. These are the second, third, and fourth arrows that we shoot into ourselves. Surrender is the simple, powerful act of refusing to shoot these extra arrows. It is the wisdom to say, "This is the reality of this moment. I will not waste my life force fighting what already is. Instead, I will align with it and see where it leads. This creates an immense internal conflict between the part of us that wants to be the all-powerful general, commanding the world from a war room, and the part of us that intuits a deeper truth, that we are but a single, skillful sailor in a vast and powerful ocean. Imagine you are in a small rowboat, determined to cross a wide expanse of water. The wind is blowing strongly from the north, and the current is moving with it. Your desired destination is directly into the wind, to the north. This is your ego's plan. And so, you begin to row. You put your head down, and you pull with all your might, your muscles straining, sweat pouring from your brow. You are fighting both the wind and the current. You may make some slow, painful progress, but you are becoming utterly exhausted. Your focus is on the struggle, on the pain, on the brute force required. This is the life of resistance. Now, imagine a different approach. You are in the same boat, but instead of oars, you have a sail. You look at the wind, you feel the current, you see that they are moving south with great power. Perhaps your original destination to the north was not the best one after all. Perhaps there is something wonderful for you in the south. You make a decision not to fight the power of the wind, but to use it. You hoist your sail. Instantly the boat leaps forward, carried effortlessly by the very forces you were just fighting. You are not passive. You are still steering the rudder, trimming the sail, actively participating. But your action is one of intelligent cooperation, not brute force opposition. This is the life of surrender. Surrender is hoisting the sail. It is not an abandonment of your journey. It is the choice of a wiser, more graceful, and infinitely more powerful means of travel. How do we practice hoisting our sail in daily life? We begin by reframing our obstacles. When something unexpected and unwanted happens, you lose a client, your flight is canceled, a project fails, the ego's immediate reaction is resistance. This shouldn't be happening. This is a disaster. The practice of surrender is to introduce a new, curious question. What if this is happening for me, not to me? This question is a circuit breaker. It interrupts the pattern of resistance and opens the door to possibility. What if this lost client is making space for a better one? What if this travel delay will lead to a chance encounter or prevent something worse from happening? What if this failure contains the exact lesson I need to learn for my future success? You do not need to have the answer. The power is in the question itself. It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a curious student of life. Next, you must learn to identify the oars in your life, the places where you are rowing with frantic, useless effort. Are you trying to force someone to change who does not want to change? Are you trying to control another person's feelings or opinions? Are you arguing with an unchangeable reality? These are your oars. The practice is to consciously pull them out of the water. Stop trying to convince them. Stop trying to manage their emotions. Accept the reality of the situation. In the moment you stop rowing, you will feel a terrifying lurch of non-control, quickly followed by a profound sense of relief. You have just liberated an immense amount of energy that can now be used for something more creative. Finally, practice the ritual of release. When you find your mind obsessing over a worry you cannot control, the health of a loved one, the state of the world, close your eyes. Visualize that worry as a physical object. It might be a heavy stone or a tangled knot of rope. Feel its weight in your hands. Then, with a deep breath, consciously offer it up. See yourself casting it into a great, brilliant light, releasing it to the care of an intelligence greater than your own. Feel the tangible lightness in your own body as you let the burden go. This is not a denial of the problem. It is a humble admission that you, with your limited power, have done all you can, and you are now trusting in a greater power to do its part. Surrender is the ultimate expression of faith. It is the final synthesis of all our inner work. It is the courage to do your part with absolute excellence, to purify your desire, to focus your attention, to act with alignment, and then to gracefully release the outcome. You trust that the arrow you have shot is guided by a wisdom that sees a bigger picture than you can see. You trust that the wind you have surrendered to is carrying you toward a more beautiful shore than the one your ego had originally planned. This trusting, yielded sailing state is the pinnacle of magnetic attraction. It signals to the universe that you are no longer an adversary, but a partner. You are open, receptive, and ready to be guided. When you cease to fight life, life ceases to fight you. It picks you up in its powerful, loving arms and carries you. You will be stunned by the synchronicities, the fortunate coincidences, and the unforeseen opportunities that appear when you finally stop trying to force your own way. You are no longer rowing, you are dancing with the wind. Having surrendered to the great current of life, a new and final freedom comes into view. It is the realization that while you may not be the master of the winds and the waves, you are, and always have been, the absolute and undisputed sovereign of your own inner world. This is the ultimate reclamation of power. For most of our lives, we operate under a pervasive and deeply disempowering assumption that our inner states are caused by outer circumstances. We believe that other people and external events have the power to reach inside of us and dictate our feelings. He made me angry. This traffic is making me stressed. That sad movie made me cry. In this model of reality, we are emotional puppets, and the world holds the strings. Our peace and happiness are fragile commodities, given and taken away by the unpredictable whims of life. We become victims of our own experience, constantly at the mercy of a reality we cannot control. This belief system, while common, is a profound illusion. It is the final and most subtle barrier to true freedom. The truth is this: no person, no event, no circumstance on earth has the power to make you feel anything without your implicit consent. External events are merely a stimulus. The emotional response to that stimulus, anger, the stress, the joy, the sadness, is generated entirely within the kingdom of your own consciousness. It is a product of your beliefs, your interpretations, your history, and ultimately, your choice. This realization presents us with a stark and challenging conflict. It is the conflict between the comforting cloak of victimhood and the heavy crown of sovereignty. To blame the world for our inner state is easy. It absolves us of the difficult work of self-regulation. It makes us the righteous, aggrieved party, and allows us to feel justified in our misery. It is a simple story to tell ourselves and others. To accept full responsibility for our inner world, however, is a radical act. It means admitting that our anger, our anxiety, and our despair are self-generated. It means acknowledging that we have a choice in every moment, and that our inner chaos is a result of our own unconscious choices. This path is far more demanding, but it is the only path that leads to unshakable freedom. It is the choice to stop being a pawn of your life story and to become the master of your inner state. It is the choice to trade the flimsy comfort of being a victim for the immense, solid power of being a sovereign. Imagine you are a great, unshakable mountain. Your core essence, your true self, is the deep, solid granite at the heart of this mountain. The world around you is the weather, and the weather is constantly changing. One day, there is a violent thunderstorm. Lightning flashes, thunder rolls, and torrents of rain lash against your slopes. This is the day you get fired, or receive a painful criticism, or face a financial crisis. The next day, the storm has passed, and the sun shines brilliantly, warming your stone and illuminating every tree. This is the day you receive praise, fall in love, or achieve a great success. Then comes a season of drought, of fog, of blizzards, of gentle spring breezes. The weather of your life is endlessly variable and completely beyond your control. For most of your life, you have mistakenly identified with the weather. When it stormed, you believed you were the storm. When the sun shone, you believed you were the sunshine. Your identity was as fickle and as fragile as the passing clouds. The great awakening of sovereignty is the realization that you are not the weather. You are the mountain. The storms may rage upon your surface, The sun may warm your face, but the deep granite core of your being remains unmoved, untouched, and fundamentally at peace. The weather is what happens to you. The mountain is what you are. To claim your sovereignty is to shift your identity from the ever-changing weather to the eternal, unshakable mountain. How do we practice this radical act of inner kingship? We begin by transforming our language, for language shapes our reality. The next time you feel a negative emotion rising in response to an external event, practice the reframe of "I am choosing." Instead of thinking, "My boss's email is making me anxious," pause and rephrase it internally. "I am choosing to create the feeling of anxiety in response to my boss's email." This small linguistic shift is a revolution. It snatches the power back from the external event and places it squarely in your own hands. It reminds you that between the stimulus, the email, and the response, the anxiety, there is a space, and in that space lies your power to choose. At first, this will feel strange, even dishonest. "I'm not choosing to feel this way," your mind will protest. But with practice, you will begin to see the subtle truth in it. You are choosing, even if unconsciously, based on old habits and beliefs. Making the choice conscious is the first step to making a different choice. Next, become the gentle observer of your own inner weather. Just as a meteorologist reports on the weather without getting angry at the rain, you can learn to observe your inner climate with a calm, non-judgmental awareness. Periodically throughout the day, check in with yourself. What is the weather inside me right now? A patch of foggy confusion. Interesting. There is a storm of anger brewing on the horizon. By simply naming and acknowledging the state without being consumed by it, you reinforce your identity as the mountain, the one who is aware of the weather, not the weather itself. Finally, you must consciously build and furnish your inner sanctuary. This is your throne room, your private refuge. Close your eyes and visualize a quiet forest grove, a vast library, a peaceful beach at dawn that represents your ideal inner state. Visit this place in your mind often. Furnish it with the qualities you wish to embody: peace, wisdom, strength, compassion. This is not mere escapism. This is an active exercise of your creative power. It is the act of building a powerful, stable inner reality that is so beautiful and so compelling that the chaos of the outer world begins to lose its grip on you. You have a place to retreat to, a place to rule from, a place that is yours alone. When you claim this inner sovereignty, you cease to be a leaky vessel, taking on water from every wave that hits you. You become a self-contained, self-generating source of your own state. The world's praise may feel pleasant, like warm sun, but you do not need it to feel worthy. The world's criticism may feel unpleasant, like cold rain, but you do not allow it to extinguish your inner fire. This unshakable inner stability is the ultimate magnetic force. A person who is a victim of circumstance radiates a chaotic, needy energy. They are unpredictable and draining. A person who is sovereign of their own inner state radiates a profound calm, a quiet confidence that is deeply reassuring to be around. They are a mountain in a world of shifting sands. They are a refuge. This is the person people trust. This is the leader people follow. This is the presence that attracts opportunities, not because it chases them, but because its stability creates a powerful gravitational field. The invitation is to abdicate the comfortable, powerless throne of the victim and to claim the challenging, empowering crown of the sovereign. You are the sole ruler of the kingdom of your mind. You set the laws. You determine the climate. The outer world may present its ever-changing weather, but the peace of your kingdom is always and only in your hands. We have come to a pivotal point in our journey, a place where the threads of all our inner work converge. We have spoken of stillness, of surrender, of becoming the observer, of allowing action to arise from alignment. After exploring these states of being, it is essential to confront a powerful and insidious counter-argument that may have been whispering in the back of your mind. It is the voice of your conditioning, the voice of the world, and it says, "This all sounds beautiful, but it is an elegant justification for laziness. It is a philosophy of passivity." It is time to dismantle this final illusion. The path we have been exploring is not the easy path. It is not an excuse to disengage from life. In fact, it is the opposite. The practice of intentional non-doing is the most active, the most challenging, and the most rigorous discipline you will ever undertake. It requires a strength of character and a force of will far greater than that required by a life of frantic, mindless busyness. To choose to be busy is easy. Anyone can fill a calendar. Anyone can react to an email. Anyone can get lost in distraction. That is the path of least resistance. It is the default setting of our biology and our society. But to consciously choose stillness in a world that screams for your attention, to choose non-reaction when your every nerve is firing with impulse, to choose trust when your mind is manufacturing reasons for fear, that is the work of a warrior. Consider the forces you are choosing to resist. First, you are resisting your own primal biology. Your nervous system is a magnificent survival machine, honed over millions of years to react instantly to perceived threats. An unexpected challenge or a critical comment triggers the same ancient fight-or-flight response as a predator in the grass. Your body floods with adrenaline and cortisol, priming you for action. To feel this powerful chemical surge and to consciously choose to pause, to breathe, and to observe it without being swept away is an act of profound self-mastery. It is overriding your deepest, most automatic programming. Second, you are resisting the immense pressure of social conditioning. Our world worships at the altar of visible effort. We are rewarded for being busy, for multitasking, for hustling. A person staring quietly out a window is seen as wasting time. A person who takes a day for silent retreat is seen as self-indulgent. To choose the quiet, often invisible work of inner cultivation is to risk being judged as lazy, unambitious, or strange. It requires a powerful inner conviction to walk a path whose value is not immediately legible to the outside world. Finally, you are resisting the ceaseless demands of your own ego. The ego thrives on doing. It loves to fix, to manage, to control, to opine, to be seen as important and effective. Stillness and non-doing are a form of starvation for the ego. When you are simply being, the ego has no role to play, and it begins to panic. It will generate endless anxieties and to-do lists to try and pull you back into the familiar game of doing. The discipline of doing nothing is the discipline of gently but firmly resisting these powerful biological, social, and psychological forces, moment by moment by moment. The perfect metaphor for this practice is the sentinel on watch. Imagine a guard posted at a sacred temple or a royal tomb. They stand for hours, motionless. To a passing tourist, they appear to be doing nothing at all. They might seem passive, even bored. But this perception is entirely superficial. The sentinel's stillness is not empty, it is full. It is a state of supreme alertness, of heightened awareness, of focused intention. Every sense is awake. Their stillness is not a lack of action. It is a highly disciplined, purposeful action in itself. Their function is to be the calm, unwavering presence that guards the gate. They do not react to every leaf that blows by or every tourist who whispers. They are trained to distinguish between the trivial and the significant. They are masters of non-reaction. This is who you must become. You must become the sentinel at the gate of your own mind, your own life. The discipline of doing nothing is the act of standing guard. You are guarding your inner peace from the invasion of external noise. You are guarding your precious attention from being hijacked by trivial distractions. You are guarding your power of choice from the automatic reflex of fear-based reaction. This is not passivity. This is the highest form of vigilance. How do you train for this sacred duty? You treat your practice with the seriousness it deserves. When you schedule time for silence or meditation, you treat it as the most important meeting of your day. It is your strategic briefing with your own soul. You do not cancel it because something more important comes up. Nothing is more important than sharpening your sword and strengthening your shield. You defend this time fiercely, for it is the source of all your strength. You also practice the discipline of urge surfing. When a powerful urge arises, the urge to lash out in anger, to seek distraction on your phone, to eat out of boredom, you do not suppress it, nor do you indulge it. You become a scientist of the urge itself. You turn your awareness inward and observe the raw physical sensations of the urge in your body. You feel it as a wave of energy that rises, crests, and, if you do not feed it by acting on it, inevitably falls away on its own. By riding these waves without being knocked over, you are building the core muscle of non-reaction. You are proving to yourself, on a neurological level, that you are not a slave to your impulses. You are the master who can feel an impulse and choose not to act. Furthermore, you must discipline your mind to reframe the meaning of rest. In our culture, rest is seen as what you do only when you are broken or exhausted. The disciplined mind understands that strategic rest is an essential part of peak performance. A field left fallow for a season yields a richer harvest. A muscle that is allowed to recover after a workout grows stronger. The time you spend in non-doing, in quiet reflection and stillness, is not time off. It is the time when insights integrate, when wisdom deepens, and when your creative energies are profoundly restored. It is the most productive work you will ever do. Let go of the false equivalence between laziness and stillness. Laziness is a state of apathetic, unconscious drift. The discipline of non-doing is a state of conscious, intentional, and highly engaged presence. It is the harder path. It is the path of the spiritual warrior, the stoic philosopher, the sentinel of the soul. It requires more courage to sit with your own discomfort for 10 minutes than it does to distract yourself for 10 hours. It requires more strength to hold your tongue in a moment of anger than it does to unleash a torrent of reactive words. Every time you choose the pause, every time you choose stillness, every time you choose to observe rather than react, you are performing an act of immense power. You are strengthening your core. You are asserting your sovereignty. You are choosing to be the calm, deliberate creator of your life rather than a frantic reactor to it. This is the discipline that underpins everything. It is the quiet, unwavering foundation upon which a life of peace, power, and grace is built. And so we arrive. After the journey inward, through the stillness and the silence, after learning to observe, to detach, to surrender, and to act from a place of deep alignment, we come to the final movement of this symphony. We come to the harvest. Our culture, with its focus on cause and effect, on striving and reward, has led us to believe that after a period of hard work, we receive a prize. The ego, even the spiritualized ego, stands in quiet anticipation, holding a specific shopping list. It has done the work, and now it waits for the delivery. The perfect relationship that will banish all loneliness, the financial windfall that will solve all problems, the public recognition that will finally confirm its worth. But the universe is not a mail-order catalog, and the law of resonance is not a cosmic vending machine. The harvest of this deep, inner work is something far more profound, more subtle, and infinitely more satisfying than the ego could ever conceive. The things that begin to flow into your life now will feel less like a prize you have won and more like a homecoming you have been longing for. The great secret of manifestation is this: you do not attract what your ego wants, you attract what your soul, in its wholeness, already is. The entire purpose of the inner work, the stillness, the discipline, the surrender was not to make you worthy of receiving external rewards. The purpose was to guide you back to your own inherent wholeness. The reward is not what you get. The reward is who you have become. And from this state of being, from this place of inner completeness, where you are no longer operating from a sense of lack or need, the universe responds in kind. It begins to mirror back to you the very wholeness you are now embodying. The people, the opportunities, and the experiences that arrive will feel different. They will not feel like a desperate rescue, a salve for a wound. They will feel like a harmonious resonance, a beautiful note that perfectly complements the note you are already playing. This can be a point of final conflict for the lingering ego. An opportunity may arise that is deeply aligned with your authentic desire, your soul's flame. But it may not look impressive to the outside world. It may not come with the status or the salary the ego had fantasized about. The ego may see this as a failure, as a sign the process didn't work. It is the soul's final test. Do you have the wisdom to recognize the true gold, or are you still distracted by the glitter? Can you accept the quiet, profound rightness of an authentic harvest over the loud, hollow victory of an egoic one? Imagine you have spent years becoming a master gardener, not by reading books about gardening, but by spending time in the soil, learning the rhythms of the sun and the rain, and, most importantly, by cultivating a single, magnificent apple tree. You have tended its roots, provided it with water and nutrients, protected it from pests, and pruned its dead branches. You have done all of this with patient, loving care. This is the inner work you have just completed on yourself. Now, the season of harvest arrives. The tree is heavy with beautiful, ripe apples. These apples are the manifestation, the external result. But what is the true harvest here? Is it merely the pile of fruit, number? The true harvest is the healthy, strong, and vibrant tree itself. The apples are not a prize the tree wins for being good. They are the natural, inevitable, and effortless expression of the tree's own inner health and wholeness. The tree does not struggle to produce apples. It is simply in its nature to do so when it is well tended, and it could never produce pears or oranges. It can only produce that which is an expression of its own unique essence, apples. So it is with you. As you have tended to your own inner being, you have become a healthy, whole, and vibrant energetic system. The things that now manifest in your life are the natural, effortless expressions of your own cultivated wholeness, and they will be a perfect reflection of your unique essence. They are your apples. Your practice now shifts from one of doing to one of graceful recognition. When a perfect synchronicity occurs, you think of someone and they call, you have a need, and the perfect solution appears. Instead of being shocked and calling it a miracle, practice meeting it with a quiet, knowing smile. An inner whisper of course. You are not being arrogant. You are acknowledging the mechanics of resonance. You are recognizing the outer world confirming the inner alignment you have worked so hard to create. You are recognizing your own reflection. You must also learn to appreciate the formless harvest, which is the most precious of all. Before you look for external changes, acknowledge the profound internal ones. Your ability to remain calm in traffic. The fact that a critical comment no longer ruins your day. The newfound sense of trust you have in the flow of your life. The quiet of your own mind. This inner peace is the treasure. This is the rich soil and the strong trunk of your tree. Everything else is just the bonus of the apples. Learn to value the state you have cultivated above any external thing it might bring. Finally, you must release your attachment to the specific form of the harvest. You cultivated the inner state of deep connection. You may have had a blueprint that this would manifest as a romantic partner, but the universe, in its infinite creativity, may deliver that feeling through a profound new friendship, a deeper bond with your community, or a connection with an animal. The wise gardener is grateful for the apples. They do not curse the tree for not producing pears. Honor the feeling that arrives, for that is what you were truly asking for, not the specific package you thought it would come in. The frantic search is over. You are no longer a hungry ghost, trying to fill an inner void with external things. You are no longer a beggar, pleading with the universe for a handout. You have undertaken the only journey that has ever mattered, the journey back to yourself. You have discovered that the wholeness you were seeking in the world was your own essential nature all along. From this place of profound self-possession, you act, you love, and you create not to get something, but to express something. The things that flow into your life are no longer crutches to hold you up, but partners to dance with. You set out on this path to attract everything, and you have arrived at the supreme realization, by becoming whole, you already are everything. The world arriving to celebrate this fact is just the beautiful final echo of a song that is already complete within your own heart. Breathe in this contentment. This is the harvest. You are the harvest. The harvest has been gathered, not as a collection of external prizes, but as a profound inner state of wholeness. The frantic striving has ceased. The chase is over. And now, you stand at the edge of a new world, looking out at the horizon of your own future. For most of your life, this horizon has been a source of anxiety. The future was a problem to be solved, a territory to be conquered, a beast to be tamed through meticulous planning and relentless control. Your relationship with tomorrow was one of fear and apprehension. But as a result of the deep inner shifts you have undertaken, this entire relationship is now poised for a final, glorious transformation. You are about to discover that the future is not a fixed destination you must fight your way to. It is an infinite sky of potential, waiting for you to lift your gaze and spread your wings. The need to know, to plan, to be certain, is one of the ego's most powerful survival mechanisms. Fearing the ultimate uncertainty of death, the ego seeks to build a fortress of predictability in life. It creates a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a detailed blueprint for how everything is supposed to unfold. It believes that this map is a source of safety, but this fortress, designed to protect you, becomes your prison. This map, meant to guide you, becomes the limit of your world. By insisting on a future that conforms to the narrow specifications of your past experience and your present fears, you lock out the possibility of magic. You close the door on serendipity. You refuse the infinitely creative and intelligent offerings of a universe whose imagination is far grander than your own. You choose to live in a small, walled garden because you are afraid of the magnificent, unpredictable wilderness that lies just outside. This creates the final internal conflict on the path to freedom. It is the battle between the part of you that still craves the comfort of a map and the part of you that has tasted the freedom of navigating by compass alone. The map self wants to know the what, the when, and the how. It feels anxious and lost without a predictable step-by-step plan. The compass self, the wise and integrated you, is content to know only its why, the true north of its authentic desire and its core values. It trusts that if it keeps its inner compass pointed toward that true north, it will be able to navigate any terrain it encounters, even and especially the terrain that is not on any map. It is the choice between the illusion of safety and the reality of freedom. It is the choice to trade your detailed itineraries for a spirit of boundless adventure. It is the final, courageous act of letting go. The great realization that resolves this conflict is this: you were never meant to live inside a fortress. You were never meant to be confined to the paths on a single map. Your true nature is not that of the small, walled garden. Your true nature is that of the infinite sky. For years, you have mistaken the cage of your own limiting beliefs, your fixed plans, and your rigid identity for the totality of reality. You have decorated the bars of the cage and called it your life. All the inner work we have undertaken, the quieting, the observing, the surrendering, has been the slow, patient, and deliberate dissolving of these bars. The ultimate freedom is not building a bigger, more comfortable cage. It is the realization that you are not and never were the cage. You are the sky. Your potential is not a finite resource to be carefully managed or a specific goal to be achieved. It is the boundless, open, and limitless expanse of your own consciousness. And to live from this place is to allow any possibility, any weather, any unexpected flight of grace to move through the vastness of your being. How does one practice living as the sky? You begin by making peace with the phrase, "I don't know." In our culture, "I don't know" is often seen as an admission of failure or ignorance. But from a place of deep trust, "I don't know" becomes a statement of profound wisdom and power. When someone asks, "What are you doing with your life? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Feel the pressure to produce a confident, certain answer. Then, practice the liberating art of resting in a peaceful, smiling, "I don't know." This is not a confession of aimlessness. It is a declaration of faith. It says, "I have let go of my own small, fearful plans, and I am open to the grand, intelligent plan of life itself. I am navigating by compass, not by map, and I trust the journey." This brings a tremendous sense of relief. You are no longer under the crushing pressure of having to have it all figured out. You also learn to live with a new and joyful sense of curiosity. You adopt the stance of a curious collaborator. You have done your part. You have cultivated your inner state. You have acted from alignment. You have sent your clear, resonant signal into the field. Now, instead of waiting with anxious expectation for a specific result, you wait with joyful curiosity. You ask the universe, "I wonder what we will create together next. I wonder what beauty you will show me today." This transforms the future from a source of anxiety into a source of playful, creative anticipation. You are no longer a nervous employee waiting for a performance review. You are a creative partner, excited to see what your collaborator will bring to the project. This is a life of wonder. When you identify with the sky of your own being, your relationship with all experience is transformed. The sky does not fear the dark storm cloud of failure, nor does it try to cling to the brilliant, fleeting colors of a sunset of success. It allows all phenomena, all the weather of life to arise, to play across its expanse, and to pass away, because it knows that its own vast, open nature is untouched and undiminished by any temporary event. This is the state of true equanimity. You can welcome success without the ego's grasping. You can welcome failure without the soul's despair. You are free because you have realized that you are larger than any experience that can happen to you. The journey that began with a desire to attract things into your life has culminated in the supreme realization that freedom is not about what you get, but about what you are willing to let go of. You have let go of the need to control, the need to know, the need to be a fixed and static identity. In doing so, you have not become empty. You have become everything. You have become the open space of potential itself. You are no longer living a life scripted by the fears of your past. You are improvising a life in beautiful, harmonious collaboration with the present moment. The future is no longer a threat to be managed, but a clear, open, and infinite sky, inviting you to soar. And so, our journey comes full circle. We began with a paradox, that the way to attract everything is to do nothing. We have walked the long, quiet path inward, away from the noise and the striving of the world, and into the silent, spacious country of the soul. We have learned to release the illusion of control, to embrace the void, to shed our masks, and to surrender to a current far wiser than our own. And now, at the end of all this non-doing, we must ask, what have we become? For years you were the hunter in a dark forest, cold and tired, endlessly chasing the shadows of what you thought you needed to be whole. You spent your life force in a relentless pursuit of happiness, of love, of security, believing they were elusive creatures that must be run down and captured. The great shift, the final secret, is this. You were never meant to be the hunter. You were meant to be the fire. The work you have done has been the gathering of the wood. Every moment of silence was a fallen branch. Every act of self-observation was a dry piece of kindling. Every surrender was a clearing of the space. Now, you have stopped running. You have laid the wood, and by tending to your own authentic presence, you have ignited the flame. Your only task now is to burn. A fire does not chase anything. It does not need to. Its nature is not to pursue, but to radiate. It simply is what it is, a source of warmth, a beacon of light in the darkness. And by the simple, powerful law of its own nature, it draws life to it. The lost traveler, seeking direction, is drawn to the light. The cold creature, seeking comfort, is drawn to the warmth. The community, seeking a center, gathers around its glow. The fire does not worry about attraction. Its very being is the attraction. This is who you have become. You are no longer defined by what you want, but by the warmth you give. You are no longer measured by what you acquire, but by the light you radiate. The great journey to gain the world was a misunderstanding. The real journey was to ignite your own soul and to let the world, in its own time, come to you, drawn by the undeniable truth of your fire. There is no secret technique left to learn. There is no further step to take. The work was never about adding something new to you, but about uncovering what was already and always there. It was a journey of excavation, chipping away the stone of fear, of conditioning, of who you were not, to finally reveal the magnificent, whole, and unbreakable statue of who you truly are. The power was never out there. It was in here, all along, waiting for the stillness in which it could finally be felt. So do not try to attract. Simply be. Be the silence. Be the stillness. Be the warmth. Be the light. The universe has been waiting for you to stop chasing its reflections so it could finally introduce you to your own radiant face. The goal was never to have it all. The goal was to realize you already are it all. And now, you do.